right. Let's get it 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 right.
You already know what it is, man. It's your boy Dilla T. And this is No Filters. Always appreciate you hitting that like button for me, subscribing to the channel so you don't miss an episode, and sharing this with the world. And of course, family, when you come in, get comfortable. Get you something to eat. Get you something to drink. Get you something to smoke if that's what you do. Because you see the title. Woo, it's a brand new day. I told you it's coming. Let's get into this here.
Ladies and gentlemen, Hakeem Jefferies is in the Epstein Files.
Woo!
The newest batch of Epstein Files that was just released revealed that back in 2013, Hakeem Jefferies reached out to Jeffrey Epstein to connect and raise money. And that would be 5 years after Jeffrey Epstein was first arrested for child trafficking. The Democrats' incessant pushing to release the Epstein Files may turn out to be the biggest political backfire in history. As always, like the video and subscribe to the channel, guys. Smash the like button because this is massive. But let's start by hearing Representative James Comer reveal this information about Hakeem Jefferies and his ties to Jeffrey Epstein on the House floor.
Colleagues' coordination with Epstein. Another email shows Democrat fundraisers invited Epstein to an event or to meet privately with Hakeem Jefferies as part of money from Jeffrey Epstein. That's what we found in the last document batch. The files underscore why former President Trump must appear for his deposition. We've subpoenaed him. To date, the Democrats have done nothing to help us secure his appearance. I support full transparency. The Oversight Committee will continue to work to get the truth to the American people and to get justice for the victims. That's our goal of this investigation. With that, I yield back.
The gentleman is back. Yeah, Mr. Speaker, we reserve. The gentleman reserves. The gentleman from Maryland is recognized.
Okay, so we're about to go over this exact email to Jeffrey Epstein line by line. But first, it seems like Donald Trump's 4D chess strikes again. Donald Trump goaded the Democrat Party into siding with Republicans and pushing for the release of the Epstein Files, thinking it was going to incriminate Donald Trump and it was going to take him down and end his political career. But it turns out all it's done is exonerate Donald Trump and incriminate Democrat after Democrat.
The White House has tried to release the Epstein Files, and they were sealed by 3 separate judges, ironically, all appointed by Democrats on 3 separate occasions. Check out who blocked this each time. This is actually amazing, folks. July 23rd, 2025, release blocked by Robin L. Rosenberg, the Southern District of appointed by Barack Obama in 2014. That's weird. Denied unsealing the grand jury transcripts from Epstein's 2005 to 2007 Florida federal investigation, ruling that the request fell outside judicial proceedings and violated state secrecy guidelines and declined to transfer the case back up to New York. August 11th, just a month later, 2025, blocked again by Paul A. Engelmeyer, Southern District of New York, rejecting unsealing of grand jury materials from Ghislaine Maxwell's case, stating that they contained no new information. And, they said it was a risk of unraveling secrecy without sufficient justification. That's pretty weird because another judge just released all the grand jury information to Comey's team, which you would think, since Comey is, alive and stuff, unlike Epstein, would be even more unprecedented. But whatevs. Anyway, the third time, on August 20th, 2025, Richard M. Berman, Southern District of New York, denied unsealing of grand jury transcripts and exhibits from the Epstein 2019 indictment, calling the DOJ's motion a diversion from its own and unreleasing files, emphasized threats to victim safety and privacy, even though all those names just would have been redacted.
There was a reason the Biden administration sat on this stuff for 4 years and didn't release it to incriminate Trump, a man that they called Hitler and said had to be stopped by any means necessary, because it turns out the only people colluding, collaborating, and affiliated with Jeffrey Epstein are Democrats. The email reads, "Dear Jeffrey, we are thrilled to announce that we are working with Congressman Hakeem Jeffries, one of the rising stars in the New York congressional delegation, sometimes referred to as Brooklyn's Barack, or sometimes here referred to as Walmart Obama, Temu Obama, Great Value Obama. He is a staunch supporter of President Obama, obviously, and a progressive voice for the people of New York City. New York One did a profile piece about his work on the vitally important budget and judiciary committees in Washington. Hakeem is committed to electing a Democrat majority in 2014 and is encouraging his friends to participate in the DSCC fundraising dinner with President Obama this coming Monday night. Shoot us an email or give us a call if you would like to get involved with the dinner or would like to get an opportunity to get to know Hakeem better. He is an impressive guy who will be a progressive voice in New York politics for years to come. So not only were they trying to set Hakeem Jeffries up with Jeffrey Epstein, but they invited him to a dinner that Barack Obama was attending. And this is in 2013. 5 years after Jeffrey Epstein was found guilty for child trafficking. And in this newest batch of files that was released, it turns out that Jeffrey Epstein hated Donald Trump, accusing Donald Trump of being the one who turned him into the authorities, prompting the investigation into Epstein's trafficking ring. Trump pretended to be reluctant, knowing that it would force the desperate Democrats to demand the release of the Epstein files, thinking it would make Donald Trump look bad. They thought they had their moment. They thought they were going to get their gotcha. They thought they were going to get their reason for the American people demanding that they come back into office and save them. And Trump said, okay, you asked for them, here they are. Here is a reporter confronting Hakeem Jeffries about Jeffrey Epstein texting and feeding information to a Democrat House delegate from the Virgin Islands during a hearing about Donald Trump.
Celebrate Thanksgiving with love from Walter
Hit
North.
that like button right now, double tap that screen, fam, subscribe. You already know, cause we cooking in here. We ain't stopping.
I'm in prison.
I've been maintaining, Theo.
Saving for a trip to Vegas.
Just maintain.
They search hundreds of sites to find great deals. You don't have to be a bad person.
Okay, Mommy.
Kayak. Relieve skin in 60 seconds with Aveeno Skin Relief with soothing triple oat complex and 72-hour hydration.
You already know what it is, fam, and it got changed up how I'm doing. But you already know, hit that like button, subscribe. You're here with your boy Dealatofficial T. And this is No Filters. Don't forget, fam, let's go.
Thanks.
Why should Americans trust you and House Democrats on the Jeffrey Epstein files when one of your own, Congresswoman Plaskett, was found to be texting with Jeffrey Epstein during a hearing, getting information from him, using that in her questioning during a congressional hearing, and at one point he tells her, good job.
This is a bipartisan effort to make sure that, consistent with what the survivors have requested, that there's full and complete transparency, and every single predator who may be in those Justice Department files doesn't escape accountability.
So Hakeem Jeffries, Walmart Obama, who's been demanding the release of the Epstein files for months now, conveniently doesn't want to answer any questions related to the mass collusion by Jeffrey Epstein and the Democrat Party to try and sully Donald Trump's reputation because there was nothing incriminating in the files, and Jeffrey Epstein had a vendetta against Donald Trump, who he believed was the one who got him arrested. And for those who haven't seen it already, here is the live video of the delegate from the Virgin Islands texting back and forth with Jeffrey Epstein and then proceeding to use the information he fed her in her questioning.
This was when Barack Obama was president of the United States. And while we were once driving through a struggling neighborhood in Chicago, he commented that only black people could live that way.
Attorney-client privilege, yes, I will turn it over.
You, as my friend Mr. Meadows pointed out, misled this committee even today in a written submission that contradicted your testimony. You have suggested you are going to review that. Did you review? Are you going to review it in our next break to correct the record, yes or no?
Yes.
Question, you helped out the president's campaign or were involved in the campaign as a representative, as a spokesman, even in your words today. It was your idea for the campaign dating back to 2011. Is that accurate, yes or no?
Yes.
Mr. Weisenberg and other individuals, Ms. Rona,
Who are those individuals? Are they with the Trump organization?
They
and
are.
Are there other people that we should be meeting with?
So Alan Weisselberg is the chief financial officer.
You gotta quickly give us as many names as you can so we can get to them.
Yes, ma'am.
As Miss Rona, what is Miss Rona's position?
Rona Graff is Mr. Trump's executive assistant.
And would she be able to corroborate many of the statements that you've made here?
Yes, her office is directly next to his, and she's involved in a lot that went on.
So now we know why Hakeem Jeffries' eyes look so lifeless and empty. It's because there's no soul in there. Only a power-hungry, egotistical maniac who would willingly collaborate with a child predator if it helped secure him funding and influence. It's almost as if the timeline is as simple as Donald Trump was friends with Jeffrey Epstein in the 90s. And once Jeffrey and Ghislaine started siphoning girls from Mar-a-Lago to come work for Jeffrey Epstein, Donald Trump got frustrated, purely from a business standpoint. And then when he found out what Jeffrey Epstein was doing with the girls, he cut all ties with the man and reported him to the feds. Not only did this entire debacle vindicate and exonerate Donald Trump, but it came at the hands of the Democrat Party. Donald Trump manipulated them and weaponized the Democrats' hatred towards him to backfire in their face. It's like when you see a big red button and a sign that says "do not press," and you just can't help yourself and you press it, and a trap door opens beneath your feet. The Democrats just couldn't help themselves. They thought this was the kill shot against Donald Trump. But the last thing I'm going to show you is Hakeem Jeffries on Morning Joe this morning, not so eager for the Epstein files to be released.
On the floor today, I do expect that there will be a decisive vote to release the files in the context of the transparency that the American people deserve and that the survivors have been so courageously calling for. Once that decisive vote happens in the House, it's my expectation that will put pressure on the Senate not to continue to bury their heads in the sand in terms of Senate Republicans, but to do what's necessary and then create the environment where the Trump administration should respond to the public pressure and the public sentiment of providing the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to the American people about this horrific Jeffrey Epstein scandal.
Oh yeah, Hakeem, the whole truth is going to come out. And I wouldn't be surprised if by the end of this, more Democrat dominoes are yet to fall. I wanted to make this video as soon as I heard the news, so if any updates or developments occur or reporters asking Hakeem about his own involvement, you guys know I'll be making a video on that. So
get understood. Hit that like button, subscribe right now. Let me explain something to you that's going on real quick. This type of situation,
files. The newest
this type of
batch
situation
of
right
Epstein
here,
files
this type of situation right here, this is the problem. There's people named that's in the files that literally, let me see how to put this. Because there's a timestamp on when you was dealing with Epstein. And there was a timestamp when we found out that Epstein was dealing with little girls. So for the timestamps of people knowing him and those same people knowing him after or dealing with him, that's the problem. Because when he was talking about what, man, other people can get mad or other people can feel some type of way or other people can be slandered or they can cause other victims. See, they was talking about the rich people that had business with him that didn't have nothing to do with those dealings. Or that might have had a business meeting with him. Or might have had anything just to do with him that had nothing to do with PDF. Okay? That's what they're talking about. Those people. Now, you don't even get no level of nothing if that didn't make sense. That makes sense. It makes sense to say people whose names that he know that had no dealings with PDFs, but just had business dealings. Now, whether that was before, because even to be real, any business dealings you dealing with this man after knowing he was in PDF file mode, oh, you a wrap. It's a wrap for you, fam, period. But how do they prove that? And that's when they're going to have to go look at some documentations, some business documentation stating that if you was a business partner to Jeffrey Epstein around this time or before this time or after this time, you getting cooked. We don't care about none of that about no victim. You ain't no victim. The women was victims. But the people like Bill Gates, he tried to come out and clean it up. Well, you know, I was dealing with him, but, you know, after we found out, you know, there were no more dealings. It's a lie. Because the way he trying to clean himself up about it, knowing that he had something to do with it. So you got to understand something. They finna try to dissect the entire list. But the problem is, this is all a distraction. Because think about it for a second. You know how long we've been talking about Epstein? You know how long we've been focused on Trump? Even after Charlie Kirk got hit, we still got back on Trump. After the government shut down, it still got back on Trump and the Epstein file. I had to realize today, this is the biggest distraction from what's really going on and real deals that they putting together behind our faces and ears and eyes and heads. This is the biggest distraction. Why? Because this won't stop. And this ain't gonna stop until we see an official list of names. Now, we might not see it in one time, but just like they just dropped Hakeem Jeffries' name. Hakeem Jeffries, the leader of the Democratic Party. Man been talking every day of his life. And now he ain't got nothing to say because his name on the list. Hit that like button, subscribe right now, double tap that screen. We about to find out who else on the list. Think it's a game.
Sports betting is here, Missouri. Unlock a huge $365
that boy
in
quiet,
bonus
that boy don't know what to do.
when you bet just $10. Win or lose. Kick off your sports betting journey the right way at Bet365 and grab $365 in bonus bets while you can.
At Shane Company, we want you to feel at home. We're ready to welcome you in and help you find your dream engagement ring.
How deeply the Democrat establishment was colluding with Jeffrey Epstein to concoct theories about Donald Trump that would possibly ruin his reputation. Jeffrey Epstein's island was in the Virgin Islands, and a new report just came out that exposed that Epstein was a consistent donor to Stacey Plaskett. That's how he was able to act with impunity on his island for so long. And their relationship was so good that he was feeding her questions during an oversight hearing about Donald Trump. And then she has the nerve to say, I did nothing wrong. Whatever he was texting me had no influence on my questions, when the evidence literally shows she had no idea what Rona was or who Rona was until Epstein explained, and then she used that information literally in her next question. That is textbook definition getting caught with your hand in the cookie jar. And she chooses to lie despite us having both text and video evidence. But how can you expect dignity from somebody who is best friends with Jeffrey Epstein a whole decade after they were convicted for being a child trafficker? But nonetheless, here is Hakeem Jeffries defending her and saying she did nothing wrong.
They've taken a text exchange which shows no participation, no assistance, no involvement in any illegal activity, and weaponized it for political theater. Because that's what this is.
And my source tonight is the Democratic leader in the House, Hakeem Jeffries. And thank you, sir, for being here. Obviously, a lot of movement up on Capitol Hill today. And you heard Stacey Plaskett there. She was arguing her texts with Jeffrey Epstein were not illegal. But in your view, were they appropriate?
Well, Stacey Plaskett is not accused of violating any House rule, any law, any statute. And she's clearly and unequivocally denounced Jeffrey Epstein. And I think what the survivors fought for today is the type of transparency that came out of the House, went through the Senate, and is now on its way.
See, think about this. He better shut the hell up right now, because think about this. He sound like classless. That's what this is about. Yeah, it's a shame to have your name mentioned in PDF file levels, but it's so much about the business that they're in. Because in their business, it ain't nothing but a discrediting. And it's a classless situation. There's no class with these people. And if you can hear his response, he is dancing around the whole situation. First thing he said, well, you know, she's not breaking no law. Or she's done nothing to get her locked up. Or she's not over here talking bad about this. She denounced him. She said she don't deal with him. What's the problem? That's the thing here, fam. The classlessness of her and the response of having to deal with Epstein because she's constantly back and forth with him trying to clean up her situation. And he knows that. So his response is targeting. His response is, see, that's what I'm saying. Even him trying to respond in a normal way, he is still telling on himself. Because he's talking like, oh, you know, there's no damage done. She's broken no law. She can talk to him, go crazy. It ain't about talking to him. It's about, you know what he did, and you still dealing with him. Or you know what he did, and you started dealing with him. That's the problem. And it make you really want to smack fire out of all of them when you see them, because the way that they respond or talk is like, fam, you caught red-handed. What you talking about? So you would dance around that whole thing like, oh, you know, ain't nobody break no law. Ain't nothing really happen. Don't trip off nothing. Ain't nothing major. It's all good. But the moment you break law, okay, now you're bad. But you can do all this bad stuff, but if you ain't broken the law, you still ain't looked at as a bad person. That ain't making no sense, fam. That ain't making no sense. What's the sense of that? Huh? What's the sense of that? You can do all this bad stuff, but you ain't considered a bad person at some point until you break the law. Because that's basically what they saying. That's basically what they doing. They can ride the edge and the thin line between good, bad, and ugly, law and breaking the law. They can bend it as much as possible. But until the judge or somebody declares them breaking the law, they can ride on whatever they want to do. But that's the point. The problem is it's no class. It's discrediting of who you are as a man, as a father if you have kids, as a husband if you have a wife. And there's no character you as a human being. And I think that's the problem that they're not really caring about because of how they operate in the White House. Snakes, devils, all of the above. Rats, all of that. Snakes, devil, rats. You got all of that going on. So you got to, and that's in the world. So you got to know how to maneuver, work, and move around in that. Hit that like button, subscribe right now. You about to understand and double tap that right now.
To Donald Trump's desk, where hopefully he'll sign it into law, because at the end of the day, all the American people are asking for is just the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, which is why these Epstein files that Donald Trump and his administration has been hiding for months need to be released.
But do you think it was appropriate for her to be texting with Jeffrey Epstein 11 years after he pleaded guilty?
Answer the question.
I have not had a conversation with Stacey Plaskett to discuss this issue.
First, let me just say,
you see how he answered the
Jeffries
question?
looks awful. He looks sickly. He looks unwell. You can tell the
You look
stress
tired.
of these Epstein files backfiring on the Democrats in epic proportion is
look
weighing
tired.
on him and aging him like milk. But just a month ago, Hakeem, Jefferies, and the Democrats were saying Donald Trump being pictured with Epstein in the 90s was inexcusable. It was despicable. It was morally repugnant. It was indisputable evidence that Donald Trump was an active participant in all of the most notorious and nefarious activities. But a Democrat in the House texting Epstein in 2019, getting fed answers that hopefully led to Donald Trump's downfall, was perfectly acceptable. That's why Donald Trump called this a Democrat hoax. Because Democrats were never interested in uncovering the truth and getting justice for the victims. They wanted to uncover the truth so far as that truth incriminated Donald Trump. And because the Democrats and Jeffrey Epstein have the same aim of ruining Donald Trump's reputation, they were perfect natural allies.
That's Thanksgiving. You're supposed to cook a lot.
Oh, well, what she didn't violate any House rules. It wasn't technically illegal. How about just basic decency and dignity and agreeing that any person in Congress who is texting somebody who is a convicted child predator should in fact be censored? Right. But despite the host asking Hakeem Jeffries twice if it was inappropriate, and Hakeem Jeffries refusing to answer the question twice, she asks him one more time, and Walmart Obama loses his mind.
Do you plan?
He called that man
For the most
Walmart
important night of
Obama.
the year, he counts for free.
I ain't never heard that in my life. That boy said Walmart Obama. What? What is? I pray you did hit that like button. Hit that like button. Double tap that screen, fam.
Phillips Norelco One Blade.
They try to hate on me, but they can't hold me. They try to hate on me, but they can't hold me.
What's so special about Domino's specialty pizzas?
They trying to control me, but they can't hold me.
Don't know.
Huh?
You pay thousands in rent each year and should be rewarded for it.
They trying to take over. Hit that like button, subscribe. You heard your boy Dilla T. Don't get what's going on. You see the chat. You see the super chat. You see the cash app.
To book travel, pay
I ain't even got to ask you, fam. You see what we doing?
We're proud to announce the launch of
Westminster
Online. It's designed to be flexible.
Call that
and
boy
to meet
Walmart
your needs.
Obama. You see?
This program
Family
runs
Dollar
back-to-back
Obama.
7-week sessions.
And they got a ring to it, Family Dollar
Want to talk
Obama.
to her about it?
Family
that
Dollar
we
Obama.
Successfully defeated
Yo, look,
the
Family
resolution.
Dollar Obama looking
Black
at you. You could hit somebody with that
was
case.
was not credible, and was being brought by an individual who was trying to weaponize this issue to reinvigorate his own failed group.
You see all that talking he doing? She said, do you think text messages with Epstein is inappropriate? That boy is explaining the whole Constitution. So you understand about not being a Democrat or a Republican? Just being an individual in the world, surviving to live every day? Do you understand that, fam? Are you stupid? Are you dumb? Illiterate? Ignorant? No, for real, is you stupid? You really think it's Democrats and Republicans out here because you thought it was rich and poor? That's what made you feel like it was Democrats and Republicans? You stupid mother... Democrats are aiming at us. People that's poor. That's why we've been in this situation so long. The Democrats know what they're doing. That's why they use actors, celebrities, to push agendas. That's a whole system the elite has been running. Yeah, Democrats. Yeah, you felt like ain't about rich and poor. It's the system being ran to keep you in your position. Stop thinking this. Please stop thinking. Please stop thinking it's Democrat, Republicans, fam, because it ain't. Shout out to Ruth, said have a good night, fam. I'm going to shower and call it a night. I'm working tomorrow, early morning shift. God bless you. I appreciate you, Ruth, pulling up. I came by the show live and support and hit that like. I know it say love and support. She said I came show live and support. No, it's all good, Ruth. I appreciate you. You know what it is, tuning in, tapping in, coming through on a weekday, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. Here to like and love and understand. And we here to inform, understand, and be aware. Duck activity. Yeah. So that's what I mean by you got to be stupid to think it was ever Democrats and Republicans running this or doing anything that seemed like this. No. This is a pure control situation. That's it. Bloods, Crips, Republicans, Democrats. Take your pick. But stop thinking they all ain't working together. Stop thinking that it really exists. Because as you can see, if that was the case, it's love, Ruth. If that was the case, it'd be one side on the Epstein Files. If you want to say somebody's bad, it would have been one side on the Epstein Files. But no. This man right here is the Democrat that he claims, and his name is on the Epstein Files. So we have a multitude of Democrats and Republicans. So you got to understand, there's no separation. They both do the same thing. They both like the same thing, and they both did the same thing. So there's no separation. We all in this together. Hit that like button, double tap that screen, subscribe right now. Let's go.
Gubernatorial campaign in South Carolina, it was rejected.
I'm tired of this fool because he sounds stupid. Make you go to sleep or just sitting there just lying, dummy. He sounds so stupid, strength and honor.
As MSNBC's Lawrence O'Donnell perfectly put it, MAGA Mike, after doing his fearless cult leader's bidding for almost a year now, finally caves and essentially turns on said cult leader.
Donald Trump's dictatorial power over Congress will not continue. Today, Donald Trump is the biggest loser in presidential history on legislation passed by both the House and the Senate that is a direct rebuke of the president. No president has ever suffered a personal rebuke on legislation anywhere close to the enormity of what Donald Trump suffered today. Mike Johnson spent the year doing Donald Trump's dirty work in the House of Representatives by blocking any chance for a vote on releasing the Epstein files. And then when the vote was forced upon him, Mike Johnson completely surrendered. And then Mike Johnson was doubly humiliated in his surrender today.
Videos have circulated showing a visibly shaken Mike Johnson after
Hit
the
that
Senate
like
passed
button, double tap
legislation
that
to
screen,
declassify
man.
documents related
What's up?
to Epstein without the amendments he and the White House had sought. Earlier, the House had passed the bill overwhelmingly.
Any reaction to Leader Thune, you seeing the bill without adding amendments or changing it?
I'm deeply disappointed in this.
Look at him. He don't even know what to say.
I'm told, I've been at the state dinner, I don't know, I was just told that Chuck Schumer rushed it to the floor and put it out there preemptively. It needed amendments. I just spoke to the president about that. We'll see what happens.
So do you think he may veto it? You say you spoke to the president?
I'm not saying that.
Is he supportive of it in its current form?
We both have concerns about it, so we'll see. I was standing with the Crown Prince.
Are you frustrated as the majority leader? Are you upset with the majority leader?
And now with the spotlight
Yeah,
essentially
you're upset. That's
shifting
why he walking on
to the
fast so
president,
fast.
man who called the Epstein matter a hoax, despite the fact that he and his entire contingent had been running on the idea that they would release all the files with full transparency before he was elected president. Well, Mike Johnson followed that up with a press conference today that, well, is bound to have Donald Trump throwing ketchup at the White House / new Mar-a-Lago walls.
And then Mike Johnson was doubly humiliated in his surrender today after
What is doubly?
he said this.
I called my counterpart in the Senate, Leader Thune, and I talked him through this with him and shared our deep concerns. And of course, they share those concerns as well. And so I'm very confident that when this moves forward in the process, if and when it is processed in the Senate, which there's no certainty that that will be, that they will take the time methodically to do what we have not been allowed to do in the House, to amend this discharge petition.
He was guaranteed by Republican Senate Majority Leader John Thune that the Senate would amend the bill passed by the House and include the kind of changes Mike Johnson insisted were necessary. He actually said, I called my counterpart in the Senate, Leader Thune, and I talked through this with him and shared our deep concerns. When I heard that, I thought, well, for sure, the Senate is going to have to add amendments or try to add amendments. And now I know someone was lying. Either Mike Johnson is lying about that phone call, or John Thune lied to Mike Johnson on that phone call, because John Thune had no intention of offering amendments to the House bill. And now we have all the evidence we could possibly ask for that John Thune was the person who convinced Donald Trump that it was
provide all the files by.
Okay, now check this out. This pan
running
bond.
cover for something. Why not just release it all? Who are you trying to protect here? Because it's certainly not the victims. They have called for full transparency and release.
On the Epstein files, does the new investigation by the Southern District of New York U.S. Attorney prevent the department from releasing all of the remaining files?
So we have released over 33,000 Epstein documents to the Hill, and we'll continue to follow the law and to have maximum transparency. Also, we will always encourage all victims to come forward.
Madam Attorney General, do you mean that you will provide all the files by 30 days?
We will follow the law. The law passed both chambers last evening. It has not yet been signed, but we will continue to follow the law again, while protecting victims, but also providing maximum transparency.
Sounds scared.
Madam Attorney General, the DOJ statement earlier this year saying that the files would not release mentioned the fact that the review of the documents and the evidence did not suggest that any additional investigation of third parties was warranted. What changed since then that you launched this investigation?
Information that has come for information.
Oh, you didn't want to say that's come forth?
New information,
Why you didn't want to say
additional
that's come forth?
information, and again, we will continue to follow the law, to investigate any leads. If there are any victims, we encourage all victims to come
This is
forward.
how you know. This how you know that she's been staged on what she's saying. This how you know she's been coerced, rehearsed, and trained. You understand? Because she want to use certain words that's naturally that comes off her mouth because of her position as Attorney General. So for her to have that position and her just being a regular person doing her job, she knows how to talk. She knows how to say the words that need to be said in the moments that need to be said. She knows how. So anytime you get a person like this in the White House or in a political place, they are being coerced, rehearsed, and trained. But let me explain the difference. You can be trained and still don't even know the lesson plan. And still be able to execute at a high level because you have experience. See, trained and experience is two different things. You gotta add, you gotta tell your next, you gotta tell your neighbor, you gotta tell your people, you gotta tell somebody you know. Being trained and experience is two different situations. Right now, Pam Bondi in the worst situation in her life. Why? Because her experience is being overridden by being trained to be Trump's Attorney General. And because she's trained to say this and don't say that, that's the problem with her experience. Her experience gives her the right to know how to talk and be in the position that she's in. But she's trained to go against what she knows. And you can tell when people go through things like that. Why? Because they stumbling at the mouth. They don't know what to say. They biting their nails. They trying to figure it out. Because they about to do something they don't want to do. Or something that goes against them. But the willpower, the lust, the ego, the pride still has her on this podium talking the things that she was trained and not the things that she has experience in. You understand what I'm saying, fam? You get what I'm saying, fam? Her training is going against her experience. Her experience is going against her training because she's being trained to do something that's not right with her experience. And her experiences are those in her position to do it the right way to be where she's at. I didn't say that she hadn't been corrupt or done things, but I just said her experience says I'm Attorney General. But they training her to be corrupt. So she don't really know how to act right now. She the only woman around all these men that's corrupt. The two guys behind her, look at that, Cash Patel. The other guy, the assistant director, the assistant attorney general. She around all of that. And yet her experience put her in that position, but she's being trained to go against her experience with the corruption of the presidency. And you can tell because she's vivid, she's too much, she irritated, it's tedious. She want people to ask the questions so she ain't got to say nothing else. And then on top of that, she just fumbled the bag when she says, well, new evidence came up. Just new evidence. Just new evidence. I'm sorry. Next question. She don't even want to tell you that new evidence came to the forefront because they have to have some type of story in place that they're about to feed us. So it ain't even about, oh my God, she said the wrong word. No, yes, she did, because she said too much. Because once you say what you said and did what you did and you say what you said, people can always go back and say, no, you said, and you said, just like when they said in the beginning about release the Epstein files. Cash Patel, FBI director, said release the Epstein files. And they never did. And now we're over here talking about they about to probably do it. And now these people so messed up. Because again, they had 1,000 meetings and each one of them said they need to release the Epstein files. Or we need to release the Epstein files. Or let's release the Epstein files. Are we gonna release the Epstein files? Like using it to get in the White House. You get in the White House and thought it was gonna go away. And now we demanding the Epstein files just so we can embarrass y'all stupid self. And what can anyone do about it, for real? That's the problem. Hit that like button, double tap that screen.
And we will continue to provide maximum transparency.
She sounds like they won't.
All they're doing is further alienating the president, making him look even more dodgy, as we would say in Scotland.
I believe that many of the people some of the people that we mentioned are being looked at very seriously for their relationship to Jeffrey Epstein, but they were with him all the time. I wasn't at all. And we'll see what happens. What I just don't want Epstein to do is detract from the great success of the Republican Party.
I mean, the thing is, Donald Trump is already losing a mass amount of support over this issue. Take, for instance, Miss Ultra MAGA herself, Marjorie Taylor Greene, who has vocally distanced herself from her once fearless cult leader over this very issue. After she joined a bipartisan petition demanding the release of the Epstein files and criticized Trump's refusal to push for transparency, Trump then withdrew his endorsement of Greene. Again, I will point out, this is not the behavior of someone who has nothing to hide.
Right. That fact alone is enough for us to ask questions about. It's a disqualifying factor for leadership. So I just don't know why you're so fervent right now, saying that I know for a fact he has nothing. Can we see the files and make that decision?
You don't know for no fact.
Scott?
Look, here's what I think. It's been going on for 10 years. If there was a shred of anything to know about Donald Trump, we would already know it. What do we know? We know
absence of evidence is not the evidence of action.
We know that Donald Trump knew Jeffrey Epstein, and we know that he excommunicated him from Mar-a-Lago and his life. We also know that after Epstein was convicted, that powerful Democrats continued to stay in touch with Jeffrey Epstein. This is not a story about Trump. It is a story about powerful men. Many of them are in the Democratic Party. We're going to find that out.
One thing I would also note, Donald Trump was a Democrat back when he was hanging around Jeffrey Epstein. So talk of all the Democrats hanging around Jeffrey Epstein includes him. Coming up.
And the thing is, the data backs the disconnect that we are seeing within the MAGA contingent. A recent Reuters Ipsos poll shows that Trump's approval rating is merely at 38%, the lowest of his second term, as Americans cite issues like the cost of living going up and his handling of the Epstein files or their frustration with the current president.
Look, they're all in red, they're all in the negative territory, but on immigration, he's 5 points underwater, foreign policy, 8 points, trade and tariffs, he's 17 points, the economy, 18 points. But look at the Epstein case. He is 39 points below water on the Epstein case. His net approval is 39 points in the negative. My goodness gracious. What Donald Trump has been selling on the Epstein files, the Epstein case, the American people, simply put, have not been buying at all, Sarah Seidner.
And this is damning, right? Another nationwide poll found that only 15% of Americans believe that Donald Trump did not have a deeper relationship with Jeffrey Epstein than what he's alluding to. And the thing is, even Fox News can't hide the truth at this point.
President Trump's approval rating falling to 38%. That is the lowest it's been in his second term. People are unhappy with Trump's handling of consumer prices and, yes, the Epstein files. Kim Strassel joining us this morning. Does this mean Trump's affordability messaging isn't working yet?
Yeah, I think that's absolutely right, Stuart. And this is a huge wake-up call for Republicans. And if you actually look at Trump's approval rating, it actually has been sliding for a while. And I think what happened here is voters had a lot of optimism that he really was going to turn around the economy. And they've given him, 9 months now, and they've been waiting. But similarly, they've been looking around, and things really haven't improved to the degree that they thought they would on cost of living. Yeah, I mean, gas prices down in some areas of the country. There are some glimmers of good news here and there. But overall, he's not performed, and that's what the polls are saying. He's not lived up to people's expectations. So Republicans, they got a lot of work to do in a short period of time before the midterms.
Eve, because you're anything but. All right, so I do have a question. I tried to get an answer out of you on radio. Okay, the question is, when did you notice Joe Biden's cognitive decline? And don't change the subject and deflect. When did you really notice it?
Well, I think it was through all of the times that Donald Trump has fallen asleep in public and talked about, magnets getting wet in the last few,
Oh my gosh.
My mom had dementia, so I recognize it. And,
this is not, it's a very good deflection. You're a professional.
you know what
radio
else
talk
is
shows.
great
You're very
about
good.
Biden's decline is that Trump is all over the Epstein files, and I'm wondering if they're going to release those. Are you covering that tonight?
Not really, because the woman that apparently they're talking about is the one that said he was a gentleman and never did anything wrong. And the person that had a grudge was the guy that got thrown out of Mar-a-Lago 25 years ago. And by the way, when you get thrown out of a club in Palm Beach, Florida, that's kind of a big deal. And it's very humiliating and embarrassing. And he was a convicted pedophile. So I'm not exactly putting a lot of gospel truth in what he said.
Trump was mad that he was stealing his girls, but
So when the network you're most aligned with is your most staunch critics, your base is just cracking all over the place, and the numbers align with the disconnect. You're not just in trouble, you're losing the whole foundation, to the point that he may need to commence construction on the West Wing to try to distract from this utter disaster.
Love this video? Support independent media and unlock exclusive content, ad-free videos, and custom emojis by becoming a paid member of our YouTube channel today.
Tap that screen right now. Hit that like button, double tap that screen right now. We're gonna keep going right here. Let's go.
No. Julie. Hey. The shower ended 30 minutes ago. I know. I'm sorry, but hear me out.
She's right. I'm Matt, member of Nectar's legal team. Fact is, Julie overslept. And according to Section 8A, line 14 of your homeowner for the House and enrolled bill.
HR 4405, an act to require the Attorney General to release all documents and records in possession of the Department of Justice relating to Jeffrey Epstein and for other purposes.
Folks, it's official. MAGA Mike Johnson has caved after going through every possible permutation about how he was not going to transmit the House resolution to release the Epstein files to the Senate after the Democrats put that unanimous consent motion to the floor and received no objections from Republicans. MAGA Mike spent the night trying to figure it all out. He was literally pacing through the halls, looking absolutely shook, the halls of the Capitol building. A reporter caught up with him. It was like, what are you gonna do, MAGA Mike? Just look how frazzled he looked last night. Here, play this clip.
Any reaction to Leader Thune seeing the bill without adding amendments or changing it?
I am deeply disappointed in this outcome. I think I've been at the state dinner. I don't know. I was just told that Chuck Schumer rushed it to the floor and put it out there preemptively. It needed amendments. I just spoke to the president about that. We'll see what happens.
So do you think he may veto it? You say you spoke to the president?
I'm not saying that.
Is he supportive of it in its current form?
We both have concerns about it, so we'll see. I was standing with the Crown Prince and pick them off.
Are you frustrated as the majority leader? Are you upset with the majority leader?
He goes, we're just hanging out with the Crown Prince. I mean, as Americans are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck. We don't like this. Yes, I voted for it. We may veto it. We're hanging out with the Crown Prince, okay? And then moments before that, he was kind of saying that he was confident that the Senate was going to have his back, but Thune did not have his back. Here, play this clip.
I'll tell you, there's a handful of Republicans, Judiciary Committee members, and a few others who are
who are really struggling, as I have been, about whether or not they could even vote yes today because of this. Because we don't have an absolute guarantee that this will be fixed in the Senate. I have a high degree of confidence in that. And that's why, that's why I'll be voting yes today.
He said the Senate was going to change it. The Senate did not change it. The Senate received a bill to release the Epstein files from the House when it was passed. And I'll just show you, we have Haley Robson, a former Trump supporter and an Epstein survivor. Here's what she had to say about MAGA Mike.
Republican, you've spoken about that. I wonder what your reaction is to Speaker Johnson saying that this vote was a political show vote by the Democrats.
Well, I was present in the room when they were doing the votes, as well as all the survivors. And I can say the only theatrics I saw was from him. I think some of his comments were on that fine line. This is not a hoax. There is no theater coming from us or the survivors on our end. I'm appalled by him in general, and I've lost a lot of respect by him. Just the back and forth with Adelita Grijalva, you will never convince me.
She was a deciding vote at the time for the petition. That's why you said that. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's bring in Ambassador Norm Eisen from Democracy Defenders. You have hundreds of lawsuits against this regime to hold them accountable. One such lawsuit involves, and there's a variety of methods that you're doing this, though, involves the FOIA request to release the Epstein files from the DOJ to hold them accountable. So let's first talk about MAGA Mike caving, but then the corollary, which is if Donald Trump does actually sign this thing, we know he's going to continue to try to cover it up. And so what do we do to get it? Norm, it's great to see you on the Midas Touch podcast.
It's so great to be on Midas Touch. And the reason that I love what you all do is because you are fighters and you exemplify the motto, be truthful, not neutral. And the place where we need to be the most truthful is about the biggest corruption scandal of the Trump administration, the cover-up of the Trump Epstein files. We know they exist. Now, this bill has steamrolled through Congress. It was incredible to see MAGA Mike crumble like a cracker on the steps there, that footage. He didn't know what to say. And then you have Chuck Schumer, very adroit in the Senate. He managed to get it through. Only one vote against it in the House. Unanimous consent in the Senate. Excellent parliamentary legerdemain Senate magic by Leader Schumer. And now it's on to Trump's desk. But even if Trump signs this bill, we can't be confident that there won't be redactions of documents that hollow out the impact, that documents won't be held back. And that's why we at Democracy Defenders fund over 200 legal cases and matters. Maybe the most important is our case to say we're not going to trust the Trump administration. Lord knows they squandered that trust on day one. We're going to have court oversight under the Freedom of Information Act to make sure that anything that is produced is complete, no documents are held back, no improper redactions. We're fighting in court to get the truth out, including to support the victims who really believe that these files must be released.
That's crazy. Boy, hit that double tap that screen, that like button. You see what it is. Super chat, you see what it is. No cash app. Fam, become a member today.
The right way at Bet365 and grab $365 in bonus bets while you can.
Own a vacation rental? If it's not listed on Booking.com, it's invisible to millions of travelers on our platform. Don't let your vacation rental be invisible. Get seen, get booked. On Booking.com, Booking.yeah.
Our lowest prices of the year are here. Treat yourself or a loved one and save $150 on Martin, or save up to 20% on a classic Fender.
Everyone's gearing up for the holidays. Be together. In a Chevy of their choice. And it all comes together in a Chevrolet. Chevrolet. Together, let's drive.
You mentioned Senator Chuck Schumer, and that was a really well done maneuver, making that unanimous consent and doing it lightning fire. I had the opportunity to speak to Senator Schumer yesterday. Here's what he told me. Let's play it.
We got to make sure we get all of the Epstein files, all. They can't fuck around with this. They can't say, oh, we'll give you this, but there are legal reasons we can't give you that. And we are going to be pursuing them relentlessly to get everything. Because I don't trust this administration. I don't trust Bondi. I don't trust Kash Patel. I don't trust the president. And they could screw around with this. It'll be all of our jobs to be on them and make sure that we get everything.
Ambassador Eisen, if there was a common thread in the Epstein emails that the estate released, there was 23,000 emails, about 2,300 email threads, over 1,600, more than half, involved Donald Trump in some shape or form. So they may as well be called the Trump emails. So we know, and as the litigator, one of the ways you're able to determine if there are gaps or missing numbers or Bates numbers that are missing is by kind of comparing third-party sources. So how do you go about, though, determining, and how should we as the public kind of figure out when they do these drips and drops of document dumps? We know they're going to hide the good stuff. What do we do?
Well, you start with the documents that we're getting themselves, and you look for are there obvious inconsistencies with what we know from the public record. You look at the redactions, what's being blacked out on the page. Does that make sense? But the most important thing you can do, and we've done it at Democracy Defenders Fund, use federal law, which requires the release of these documents. Get the courts involved. We've sued in court, so there's court oversight of the release. And the judicial process assures that you're actually getting what you should be getting. And the Trump administration has helped us in that. They themselves have admitted the release of these documents is in the public interest when they were trying to get the Ghislaine Maxwell grand jury files released to the public. They made that admission. We are hammering that admission in pushing for an order in our court. We're going to win this case. We're going to do oversight to make sure that anything that is released according to the congressional bill is complete. No documents are held back. No improper redactions. That's what we owe to the public, to transparency, and above all, to the victims of the Epstein scandal. We must get those Trump Epstein files full, complete, and unredacted.
You know, Ambassador Eisen, you referred to the Trump cover-up of the child sex trafficking Epstein ring as the biggest corruption scandal. There's a lot of close number twos, I think we can all concede, and any one of your hundreds of lawsuits involved one of those close number twos, which in any normal era would be far worse than I even think Watergate, just any of them. And it seems like every single day we get another example of that. I mean, let's just, this morning, as you and I were recording this, during a federal hearing in Virginia in the Comey case, prosecutors in that case confirmed that the operative indictment in the case against James Comey was never shown to or voted on by the entire grand jury before it was presented in open court, which obviously Comey's lawyers argue that's a complete bar to the prosecution. We also thought that the biggest story of the morning from that hearing was going to be that prosecutors in the Comey case told the judge that they were under orders from the Deputy Attorney General's office not to disclose whether career prosecutors wrote a memo recommending against indicting Comey prior to Halligan going to the grand jury. The United States Assistant Attorney, Tyler Lemons, told Judge Nachmanoff he had not gotten permission to disclose what he could consider to be privileged or work product material. So they haven't even turned over a memo from the career prosecutors who Trump fired and pushed out, where they said there's not enough evidence to indict James Comey and Letitia James and others. I'm getting lots of questions from people, Ambassador Eisen, saying they're not turning over the memo. They somehow indicted James Comey without presenting the indictment to the grand jury? Like, WTF, this has never happened before.
Ben, it's exactly as legally effective as if you and I wrote an indictment of Donald Trump right here on the Midas touch. She had never been before a grand jury. She's an insurance lawyer. The reason they put Lindsay Halligan there was because the regular prosecutors refused to prosecute the case, wanted nothing to do with it, because the charges against Comey are so bogus and made up. This is another example where we have filed a legal brief on behalf of former judges to say to the court, this is a joke, and it's a new low. The indictment wasn't even presented to the grand jury. None of us have ever heard of anything like this. This case is gonna be flushed by the courts. It should be. We've already seen Donald Trump starting to lose some of these baseless criminal prosecutions. And this is another one that I think is doomed because of the incompetence. Who knows how much trouble we would be in if Donald Trump were a competent authoritarian. Instead, it's the gang that can't shoot straight. Trump and his cronies like Lindsay Halligan.
Which kind of brings me to the last point, and I think it's a good way to talk about all of the litigation Democracy Defenders Fund, and everybody should go out and support Democracy Defenders Fund because you're doing great work. But the work that you're doing early on, we saw corporations, law firms, and we still do, businesses capitulate, bend the knee. They would settle phony lawsuits and frivolous lawsuits that he would file. They would enter into weird settlements before cases were even filed. And it was so disheartening. But here we are heading towards Thanksgiving, and groups like yours and others are fighting and winning. And the groups that have stood up have won. And not just won, they've exposed how weak and pathetic this regime is. Like we saw what happened in court when Lindsay Halligan, this horrible former insurance lawyer, showed up there and a federal judge, Nachmanoff, says, "What the hell did you do?" And she's like, I don't know, judge. You just exposed these are scared, weak, pathetic humans, and that we just need to be strong. And I think you're leading the way on that. So I just want you to talk more generally about what you're doing, because we need fighters like you right now.
Well, we knew Donald Trump was going to flood the zone with his assaults on the Constitution and the rule of law. So we decided to do rule of law shock and awe. And at Democracy Defenders Fund, we have over 200, I think the exact count now is 225 legal cases and matters, pretty much one for every day of the Trump administration. And together with our coalition, The Atlantic wrote an article analyzing the legal front as the part of the resistance that's working. And it is. We've got Donald Trump on the run in the courts. But Ben, I'm going to return the compliment, because it's not enough to win in the court of law. This is where you and the Midas Touch Network have come in so powerful. You've got to win in the court of public opinion too. We do that at the Contrarian, where we talk about the cases and issues, and you do it on Midas Touch par excellence. There's nobody who does it better in broadcasting both the crisis for our democracy, but also the pushback that is working. So with voters having repudiated Trump in the referendum on November 4th, a landslide win, not just for candidates, but for democracy, with millions of people, the No Hands protests have built from 3 million to 5 million to 7 million peaceful, lawful, massive protests coast to coast. We're seeing all the pistons of the engine of democracy are really starting to work. What a difference from January 20th and that climate of fear and intimidation and the people who weren't sure. The lawsuits struck the spark. Independent media has been an important part of that. And look at the latest stampede for Trump. Only one member of Congress, one person in the House, voted to stop the release of the Trump Epstein files. Everyone else caved despite months and months of his pressure. So let's keep it up. Court of law, court of public opinion. Let's do it together.
And the one who voted against the release is Clay Higgins, who rants and raves at the corner of bars about Ghostbusters. Ghostbusters, you ever heard about these Ghostbusters? Anyway, everybody go to democracydefenders.org. You can take a look there at the active cases and the work that Norm and his team are doing. Ambassador Norm Eisen, we should do this more often.
Thank you, Ben. Invite me anytime. Big fan and great being with you today.
Great to see it. Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Hey, Midas Mighty, it's Ben, Brett, and Jordy, and we just want to thank you for being the backbone of this movement.
This year tested us more than ever, but together we proved that pro-democracy voices don't just compete, we win.
We took on the entire MAGA machine, won a Webby for Podcast of the Year.
The Midas Touch Podcast.
And you were with us.
Are you wearing 7 layers and still freezing your man nipples? You need the new 340...
Donald Trump is trying to rewrite the history of the Epstein cover-up in more ways than one, but all of them are failing, not just because his base is fractured and furious with him, or that the loudest Republican voices in Congress are the ones now calling him out, but it's because his MAGA media isn't coming to his defense anymore. And that includes Joe Rogan, who ripped Trump to shreds for this continued push that the Epstein Files is all a hoax after the vote yesterday and more evidence coming out. We are going to get into it all, and an interview with Hakeem Jefferies, who is having a lot of fun with Mike Johnson's demise. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it
As MSNBC's look for the House and enrolled bill.
HR 4405, an act to require the Attorney General to release all documents and records in possession of the Department of Justice relating to Jeffrey Epstein and for other purposes.
Folks, it's official. MAGA Mike Johnson has caved after going through every possible permutation about how he was not going to transmit the House resolution to release the Epstein files to the Senate after the Democrats put that unanimous consent motion to the floor and received no objections from Republicans. MAGA Mike spent the night trying to figure it all out. He was literally pacing through the halls, looking absolutely shook, the halls of the Capitol building. A reporter caught up with him. It was like, what are you gonna do, MAGA Mike? Just look how frazzled he looked last night. Here, play this clip.
Any reaction to Leader Thune seeing the bill without adding amendments or changing it?
I'm deeply disappointed in this outcome. I think, I've been at the state dinner. I don't know, I was just told that Chuck Schumer rushed it to the floor and put it out there preemptively. It needed amendments. I just spoke to the president about that. We'll see what happens.
So do you think he may veto it? You say you spoke to the president?
I'm not saying that.
Is he supportive of it in its current form?
We both have concerns about it, so we'll see. I was staying with the Crown Prince.
Are you frustrated as the majority leader? Are you upset with the majority leader?
He goes, we're just hanging out with the Crown Prince. I mean, as Americans are struggling, living paycheck to paycheck. We don't like this. Yes, I voted for it. We may veto it. We're hanging out with the Crown Prince, okay? And then moments before that, he was kind of saying that he was confident that the Senate was going to have his back, but Thune did not have his back. Here, play this clip.
I'll tell you, there's a handful of Republicans, Judiciary Committee members, and a few others who are really struggling, as I have been, about whether or not they can even vote yes today because of this, because we don't have an absolute guarantee that this will be fixed in the Senate. I have a high degree of confidence in that, and that's why that's why I'll be voting yes today.
He said the Senate was going to change it. The Senate did not change it. The Senate received a bill to release the Epstein files from the House when it was passed, and I'll just show you. We have Haley Robson, a former Trump supporter and an Epstein survivor. Here's what she had to say about MAGA Mike.
Republican, you've spoken about that. I wonder what your reaction is to Speaker Johnson saying that this vote was a political show vote by the Democrats.
Well, I was present in the room when they were doing the votes, as well as all the survivors. And I can say the only theatrics I saw was from him. I think some of his comments were on that fine line. This is not a hoax. There is no theater coming from us or the survivors on our end. I'm appalled by him in general, and I've lost a lot of respect by him. Just the back and forth with Adelita Grijalva. You will never convince me.
She was a deciding vote at the time for the petition. That's why you said that. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's bring in Ambassador Norm Eisen from Democracy Defenders. You have hundreds of lawsuits against this regime to hold them accountable. One such lawsuit involves, and there's a variety of methods that you're doing this, though, involves the FOIA request to release the Epstein files from the DOJ to hold them accountable. So let's first talk about MAGA Mike caving, but then the corollary, which is if Donald Trump does actually sign this thing, we know he's going to continue to try to cover it up. And so what do we do to get it? Norm, it's great to see you on the Midas Touch podcast.
It's so great to be on Midas Touch. And the reason that I love what you all do is because you are fighters and you exemplify the motto, be truthful, not neutral. And the place where we need to be the most truthful is about the biggest corruption scandal of the Trump administration, the cover-up of the Trump Epstein files. We know they exist. Now, this bill has steamrolled through Congress. It was incredible to see MAGA Mike crumble like a cracker on the steps there, that footage. He didn't know what to say. And then you have Chuck Schumer, very adroit in the Senate. He managed to get it through, only one vote against it in the House.
Donald Trump is trying to rewrite the history of the Epstein cover-up in more ways than one, but all of them are failing, not just because his base is fractured and furious with him, or that the loudest Republican voices in Congress are the ones now calling him out, but it's because his MAGA media isn't coming to his defense anymore. And that includes Joe Rogan, who ripped Trump to shreds for this continued push that the Epstein files is all a hoax after the vote yesterday and more evidence coming out. We are going to get into it all, and an interview with Hakeem Jefferies, who is having a lot of fun with Mike Johnson's demise. But before we do, if I could quickly ask you to leave a like on this video, and if you haven't already and you enjoy our channel, to hit that subscribe button, because it goes a long way in supporting our work. Now, before we get into Rogan, I have to start with another MAGA media outlet, and that's the Fox propaganda outlet, where Jessica Tarlov set them all straight with a breakdown of why public sentiment on Epstein just isn't changing for Trump.
But this idea that the Epstein files is going to be reframed as a Democratic hoax is never going to work. The American public is not cool with it. What does he have? Trump has a minus 39 approval on handling the Epstein files, and only 45% of Republicans even approve at this point. The narrative about Hakeem Jefferies, everyone at this table knows how fundraising emails work. So that email was from someone named Lisa Rossi, who's from a random fundraising group called Dynamic SRG, asking if Epstein wants to go to a generic DCCC dinner that Obama and Jefferies were going to be at. There was never any meeting. There was never any donation. And he appears one time in the Epstein files. By the Miami Herald's count, Trump is mentioned over 1,000 times in the latest tranche that just got out. And people are not going to forget that in 2002, for instance, Trump said, "I've known Jeff for 15 years. Terrific guy. He's a lot of fun to be with." It's even said he likes beautiful women as much as I do. And many of them are on the younger side. I have never alleged, and I am not alleging now, that Donald Trump has done anything untoward with an underage woman. But if you want to be throwing around single emails from a random fundraising group to try to make Brooklyn Barack look bad and not acknowledge how many times Donald Trump is mentioned in these files, you're just going to look dumb. And I would encourage everyone to not look dumb.
But it's other people mentioning him. It's not his fault when people want to get him. But that was one quote, but other people are mentioning him to stop him. They like the other person who wanted, they were all trying to stop Trump.
Why did he want the files to not come out this badly? Why? Just tell me why.
Why do you always fall for this stuff is the bigger question.
This is Russia, Ukraine, everything.
Jessica is hitting the nail on the head here, as she always does, and clearly it has infuriated Jesse Waters and Greg Gutfeld, but the public opinion is not going to shift on this issue. Donald Trump has completely done himself in. There is no amount of attacking Democrats, screaming about Barack Obama, or trying to shift the blame and say that we were playing political games. That is going to save him right now. It's just not going to happen because we saw this cover up and we're continuing to see the cover up. Pam Bondi and Todd Blanche saying that they are going to follow the law. One is one of the biggest jokes I've ever heard in my entire life, but they're already stonewalling. And we expect them to try to put every roadblock in place to prevent these documents from coming out. You don't need to be a political scientist or to be watching MSNBC or my show all the time to know that. It is obvious. If Donald Trump wanted to, he could have already released the files. And why isn't he? It's not because it's a hoax. It's because it is so damaging to him. And that is what Joe Rogan is well aware of, what he's sharing with his audience, and what he's mocking Donald Trump and MAGA for.
The Epstein files. I heard there's no files. I heard it's a hoax. And then all of a sudden, he's going to release the files. Well, I thought there was no files.
Man.
He wants an investigation now.
Listen.
Like, what is going on?
They voted 427 to 1.
Who was the one?
Whoa,
who's the one?
I didn't see why he said, but he did.
National security.
No fucking way.
National security.
If you found out all of Congress voted for something, and you the only one that didn't, can you change your vote? You can't be the one, guy.
It should be that it has to be like no one can know what the vote is before you do it.
Bro, I would love to hear his reason. How you the one?
Well, I was feeling like let's move past it and let's get on with our business. And
you can't move past it.
These billionaires are good people. Okay,
you can't move past.
They're good, solid people.
Was the one.
Who?
Clay Higgins.
Where's he out of?
Arkansas.
Louisiana? Yeah, there you go. Yeah.
One of the bottom 10 in education or something like that.
Somebody got to him. Yeah. That's crazy, though. 420 to 1.
I have been a principled no on this bill from the beginning. What was wrong with the bill 3 months ago was too wrong.
It abandons 250 years of criminal justice procedure in America. As written, this bill reveals and injures thousands of innocent people, witnesses, people who provided alibis, family members, etc. If enacted in its current form, this type of broad reveal of criminal investigative files released to a rabid media will absolutely result in innocent people being hurt, not by my vote. The Oversight Committee is conducting a thorough investigation that has already released well over 60,000 pages of documents from the Epstein case. That effort will continue in a manner that provides all due protections for innocent Americans. If the Senate amends the bill to properly address privacy of victims and or other Americans who are named but not criminally implicated, then I will vote for that bill when it comes back to the House.
He's in that motherfucker.
Yeah, Joe, I bet you do wish you could get your vote back, and maybe we consider how we use our platform in the future. But the fact that just normie voters are waking up and guys in the manosphere and the MAGAverse are starting to abandon Trump. I played that clip of podcaster Tim Dillon saying that it's over. It's not just because of Trump, but Mike Johnson gets all of his authority from Trump, and it's because Republicans in Congress have been so terrified of Trump coming after them. But that power isn't there anymore. Donald Trump has been so weakened by this Epstein vote that everywhere that he has held power before, it is all crumbling down. And Democrats are taking advantage of that. I talked about it with Hakeem Jefferies just now, and not only the crumbling of MAGA, but how he is going to make sure that Pam Bondi is held to account if she does not release every single Epstein file and what you need to know about the fight getting forward. So please take a look at all of it, because we break a little news on Mike Johnson and maybe something about his Grindr profile at the end. Leader Jeffries, thank you so much for joining me. Now, I don't want to steal Donald Trump's vernacular, but it seems like many people are saying that yesterday with the Epstein vote, this is kind of the beginning of the end. You saw Joe Rogan was kind of turning on Donald Trump. Obviously, the MAGA base is fracturing, but there are some really trying to stick with him right now and embarrassing themselves in doing so. I want to run through a couple of the MAGA diehards that are doing everything they can to defend their dear leader, starting with Pam Bondi. Today, she would just keep on reiterating that they're going to follow the law over at the DOJ, which they haven't really done. What are you going to make sure, how are you going to make sure, really, that they do follow the law?
Yeah, Pam Bondi is a disgrace and, presiding over a Department of Injustice that continues to embarrass themselves. In fact, it's a combination of corruption and incompetence, which is a toxic combination. And she's leading the parade in that regard in terms of what's happening over there. We are going to make sure, as we did in the context of ensuring a decisive vote in the House, to mandate release of the Department of Justice files related to Jeffrey Epstein, and then a unanimous vote emerging out of the Senate, that there is no choice but to comply. Now, we know they're going to try to play games because this is who they are. But we've managed so far to overcome their gamesmanship because we know that public sentiment is on our side. The survivors have waged a brave and valiant struggle, and they are going to continue to press the case forward to make sure that those documents are released to the American people so there can be transparency and accountability for the wrongdoers.
If y'all just kind of went hands off and moved on and weren't focused on pressing Bondi, do you think enough would come out? Do you think everything would come out? Or do you think it's going to take still kind of this all-out blitz over the next 30 days to ensure transparency?
I think it's definitely going to take an all-hands-on-deck effort because these folks have been engaging in trying to protect predators who apparently, are connected to the wealthy and the well-off and donors, there's a whole lot that's going on that explains why we've seen such obstruction. Remember, these House Republicans, led by Mike Johnson, literally were on a 7+ week taxpayer-funded vacation in the middle of a shutdown. Why? Because they did not want to swear in Representative-elect at the time, Adelita Grijalva, because they knew she'd be the 218th signature on a discharge petition that forced the vote that we saw this week to release the Epstein files. That's extraordinary that they would go to those lengths. And then when they knew the vote was coming, these people invited Lauren Boebert, or in fact demanded that she come over to the White House, of all places last week, the Situation Room.
To put the squeeze on her, yeah.
Right, to put the organized crime squeeze on her, literally. You're absolutely right. And to give credit to her, she resisted, refused to take her name off the discharge petition, which enabled Adelita Grijalva, upon being sworn in, to be that 218. So we're under no illusions that they're going to go quietly on the other side. We're going to have to keep pressing our case until we get these documents released to the American people.
Yeah, and what I find so interesting is that, of course, Bondi's going to be stonewalling, so will Kash Patel. But your Republican colleagues in the House, I feel like some of them right now are attempting to rewrite history and pretend that they were for transparency this entire time. In fact, I've seen a lot of Republicans say that it was Democrats holding this up with political games. But some haven't taken that approach. Carolyn Levitt is still singing the same tune on I'm going to try not to laugh when saying this, but a New York Post podcast appearance that she just did. She said that this whole thing has still been a hoax. She obviously hasn't heard from any of the survivors. Last time we talked, you called Carolyn Levitt a disgrace. Do you have any more words for Carolyn Levitt after hearing her say that the Epstein Files is still a hoax?
Let me amend that. She's a complete and total disgrace. At all times, day after day, week after week, month after month. She's a stone cold liar and, one of the minions who Donald Trump rolls out there to misrepresent things repeatedly to the American people. It's extraordinary to me that in the face of these powerful survivors who've been on Capitol Hill week after week after week, and of course, we're here to see the vote pass in the House chamber yesterday, that she's still digging in on this narrative that it's a hoax. Of course it's not. Yeah. Real harm was done to real women at the time, teenage women in many instances, and there needs to be full and complete accountability for that.
Yeah, and what Republicans are focused now, of course, is kind of obscuring this conversation. James Comer, who I'm sure you're not the biggest fan of, is really trying to direct everyone's eyes to something different, saying that the silence from both Bill and Hillary Clinton, in his opinion, mandates time in prison, is what he's coming out and saying now. I don't know what that means for Donald Trump then loudly screaming at everyone about Epstein. Actually, before we get into that, what was like the first thing that you thought? I had such a guttural reaction when he called that reporter piggy, but where were you when you saw that clip?
However you book, first check Kayak to search hundreds of travel sites at once and compare hotel prices to find a great deal.
Noom's going micro. Micro habits, micro wins, microdose to your B1s.
I'm stuck! My weight won't budge.
Been there, but Noom can help.
Bye-bye plateau!
Hello, micro! Get started at Noom.com.
Life moves pretty fast, but not at Freddy's. When that first bite hits, you can't help but slow down. The secret to quality time is just quality and time. That's Freddy's.
Mom, what's wrong with them? That's called quality time. Don't stare.
Do you need $300, $500, or even $1,000 fast? WeFixMoney.com is your #1 trusted source to get money for rent, emergency car repairs, mortgage payments, bills, whatever the need. WeFixMoney.com could help. Here's how it works. Fill out our simple form. We search our network of lenders for your funding, and then you get to decide if you like the offer. Get the money direct deposited right into your checking account, sometimes within 24 hours. WeFixMoney.com. That's WeFixMoney.com.
I think, I was on the House floor at the time. We either had a vote series or I was participating in the debate, so I wasn't able to see the clip until afterward, but it's disgusting.
Yeah.
And, it just speaks volumes about how Donald Trump views women and views people. There's no decency there. And this is one of the reasons why the American people have turned, on the current president. He made all of these promises to lower the high cost of living, failed to deliver on any of those promises. Costs aren't going down, they're going up. Maybe there were some Americans who were willing to give him a chance. And of course, he got that chance narrowly, wins the election, and then has been a failure from the beginning. Has not delivered on a single promise to drive down the high cost of living here in this country. And they've broken the healthcare system in ways that are horrific. So we'll continue to press our case to get the Affordable Care Act tax credits extended. But I think in the face of being a total failure on the economy, the Trump tariffs driving up the high cost of living, costs, on everyday Americans as a result of these Trump tariffs, totaling thousands of dollars in additional expenses per year, it's harder and harder for Americans who may have given him the benefit of the doubt, as hard as that is for me to believe, to excuse this piggish behavior that has gone on. By the way, from the most corrupt administration in American history, literally in our face, running a pay-to-play scheme to enrich his friends and his families to the detriment of the American people. Meanwhile, can't find a dime to extend the Affordable Care Act tax credits.
No, doesn't really seem to care. And you're talking about Americans who are just like stunned and it's disappointed that we had to go through this level of education about what a poor legislature, piss poor, fucking terrible President Donald Trump is for people to remember how deeply he hurt so many of us. But it's not just the average American voter. It's also Republicans as well, waking up to the fact that there will be a life after Trump. The MAGA fracturing shows his weakness, both, as a politician, the president, and physically and mentally. But you're not just seeing it in Congress. We also just recently saw it in Indiana, where a Republican legislature said, we're not going to be going along with this gerrymandering push. And that was right after the gerrymandering push is failing right now in Texas. Do you think that this is, I said that, the Epstein vote was the beginning of the end. But for Donald Trump and the MAGA coalition, his kind of grip on them, saying that the best way to win if you are an elected Republican is to fall in line with me. Do you think that's kind of ended? And is that going to lead to a greater fracture? Because I think it is.
It definitely seems like the cult-like behavior is beginning to fracture. I would actually trace the beginning of the end back to the special election in Wisconsin when Elon Musk went in during the height of Elon Musk being in the face of everyday Americans with his arrogance and his brashness. And, you know, he tries to go into Wisconsin, a state that Donald Trump just won narrowly a few months prior to that, spends, I think, $25 million or so, more money than had ever been spent in a state Supreme Court race in Wisconsin. And not only does Elon Musk and Donald Trump lose, they lose decisively by 11 points. That was the beginning of the fracturing and the notion that they were going to be in some continuing 2024 type of electorate was beginning to be dismantled. But
hit that like button and subscribe right now. We ain't gonna be playing. You ain't gonna keep playing with nobody. Let's get real up here and take you out of somewhere you ain't never seen for you to never know. Let's go.
Buffalo for me, bonsai for you.
Not a sauce guy. Hit that like button right now. You woke up today, hit that like button. Your kids here with you. Hit that like button. You ain't no hater. Hit that like button. Subscribe.
If you live in a Missouri zip code and have 0 DUIs in the last 5 years, listen carefully. I was an insurance.
Let's go.
The powerful men who visited the island.
Press 1 if you're here with me. If you're here with me right now, I need to know what's up. Press 1. Let me know where you're from right now. Press 1. Let me know where you're from right now. Let's go.
Everybody's talking about the Epstein Files, the email, the blackmail, the powerful men who visited the island. But nobody's asking the real questions. The questions like, what was that temple on Little St. James Island used for? Was there really a tunnel underneath it that went deep into the mountain? Was there tunnels that connected that to other places? And what were those tunnels used for? What were they doing underground? Because we know the official story is lacking in its explanation. But what was it actually used for? Because there's been some people, some whistleblowers, some survivors who escaped the island who allegedly said some very interesting things about that temple. Whether it's true or not, you be the judge. And here's where it gets pretty strange, because according to some people, survivors say that they heard weird things at night. They heard things like chanting. They heard strange music that didn't sound quite right, like it wasn't really coming from anywhere. They talk about symbols that were carved into stones, underground tunnels, and elevators that went down inside that hilltop. Leading to where? I don't know. And also there was apparently some rooms that people weren't allowed to enter that went along with this oppressive presence that people talked about. An evil. They felt an evil. It was an evil that hung over certain parts of the island. In fact, the entire island, Little St. James Island. A lot of people said that as soon as they stepped onto the island, they felt it was off. They felt oppressed. They felt darkness that was surrounding the entire island. Now, when you look at this architecture and you look at the temple itself and what it was made out of, what it looked like, you realize that it really is, there's something disturbing here. Because it wasn't designed for humans, basically. It was designed, in my opinion, for something else, something darker, something far more sinister. And what is that specifically? Well, let's just cut to the chase because we can find the answer to that question in the Bible. Because Ephesians 6:12 says that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against the powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Okay? That's what the Bible says. So what if Epstein's Island wasn't just about SA or ST, okay? But what if it was actually a gateway into the spiritual, a gateway into another dimension?
The Sphinx was a door to another dimension, a gateway to immeasurable power. To another dimension?
Demons live in the box.
Those were demons in the bowels of hell.
Let me show you what I mean, okay? The temple that was sitting on Little St. James on Epstein Island, it was on the highest point of the island. And my calculations, in my opinion, that's not random. He chose that specific spot on purpose. Why? Because it's an ancient occult practice. High places is what they were called in the Bible, and they were considered thin. The veil between our world and the other world was considered thinner the higher you get. So generally in the Old Testament and in ancient times, occultists and people doing rituals and people trying to contact the other side would choose the highest place, the high place, to conduct their rituals so that their ritual would be a success. These locations where the barrier between the physical and the spiritual was weak, they're real and they're the high places, all right? So the Bible constantly warns us about high places over and over again. It's all over the Old Testament. God commands Israel to tear down places where the pagan nations were worshiping their gods, their demons, their fallen angels. Okay, this is spiritual warfare at its highest levels, everybody. And why? Why did they build it in the high places? Because it worked. Okay, they wouldn't do something over and over again if it didn't work. And as we know,
no, straight dog. You don't watch me watching it. You watch it. You don't watch me watching nothing. You watch what I'm watching. Or you get the fuck on. That's it. Make a decision. See, this makes sense. Because this might be a reason why Trump and them don't want this out there. You ain't know this was going on. And you definitely didn't know I was finna press play again.
the things of old are also the things of new. All the secret societies, all the rituals, the occultism, all the black magic, everything around today is literally brought back from the ancient world. So if they did it in ancient times, they're doing it today.
Westminster College has a rich history of excellence in cultivating leaders. And now...
Look at you. You didn't know I was going to press play on this, did you? I know it.
The powerful men who visited the island. But nobody's asking the real questions. The questions like, what was that temple on Little St. James Island used for? Was there really a tunnel underneath it that went deep into the mountain? Was there tunnels that connected that to other places? And what were those tunnels used for? What were they doing underground? Because we know the official story is lacking in its explanation. But what was it actually used for? Because there's been some people, some whistleblowers, some survivors who escaped the island who allegedly said some very interesting things about that temple. Whether it's true or not, you be the judge. And here's where it gets pretty strange, because according to some people, survivors say that they heard weird things at night. They heard things like chanting. They heard strange music that didn't sound quite right, like it wasn't really coming from anywhere. They talk about symbols that were carved into stones, underground tunnels, and elevators that went down inside that hilltop. Leading to where? I don't know. And also there was apparently some rooms that people weren't allowed to enter that went along with this oppressive presence that people talked about. An evil. They felt an evil. It was an evil that hung over certain parts of the island. In fact, the entire island, Little St. James Island. A lot of people said that as soon as they stepped onto the island, they felt it was off. They felt oppressed. They felt darkness that was surrounding the entire island. Now, when you look at this architecture and you look at the temple itself and what it was made out of, what it looked like, you realize that it really is, there's something disturbing here. Because it wasn't designed for humans, basically. It was designed, in my opinion, for something else, something darker, something far more sinister. And what is that specifically? Well, let's just cut to the chase because we can find the answer to that question in the Bible. Because Ephesians 6:12 says that we wrestle not against flesh and blood, but against principalities, against the powers, against the rulers of the darkness of this world, against spiritual wickedness in high places. Okay? That's what the Bible says. So what if Epstein's Island wasn't just about SA or ST, okay? But what if it was actually a gateway into the spiritual, a gateway into another dimension?
The Sphinx was a door to another dimension, a gateway to immeasurable power. To another dimension?
Demons live in the vault.
Those were demons in the bowels of hell.
Let me show you what I mean, okay? The temple that was sitting on Little St. James on Epstein Island, it was on the highest point of the island. In my calculations, in my opinion, that's not random. He chose that specific spot on purpose. Why? Because it was an ancient occult practice. High places is what they were called in the Bible, and they were considered thin. The veil between our world and the other world was considered thinner the higher you get. So generally in the Old Testament and in ancient times, occultists and people doing rituals and people trying to contact the other side would choose the highest place, the high place, to conduct their rituals so that their ritual would be a success. These locations where the barrier between the physical and the spiritual was weak, they're real, and they're the high places, all right? So the Bible constantly warns us about high places over and over again. It's all over the Old Testament. God commands Israel to tear down places where the pagan nations were worshiping their gods, their demons, their fallen angels. Okay, this is spiritual warfare at its highest levels, everybody. And why? Why did they build it in the high places? Because it worked, okay? They wouldn't do something over and over again if it didn't work. And as we know, the things of old are also the things of new. All the secret societies, all the rituals, the occultism, all the black magic, everything around today is literally brought back from the ancient world. So if they did it in ancient times, they're doing it today.
Julie, hey, the shower ended 30 minutes ago.
Yeah, like, subscribe.
Okay, so let's look at the design itself of this building. The entrance, it faces magnetic north. In ritual magic, directional alignment, it really does matter, because north in occult theology, it represents the void, the abyss, the dwelling place of demonic entities. And that's occult cosmology, and that's across the board. By facing the door towards the abyss, is he summoning entities to come into that place? And if he is, what entities and why? All right, now look at the golden dome, okay, in this picture. Golden dome. It's a distinctive golden cap. And here's the thing that people don't talk about. That exact design, it appears and it was been featured on Phoenician temples that were dedicated to Moloch, the demon who demanded child sacrifice. That's right, Moloch, the Old Testament god. You think it's a coincidence that Epstein had that on his temple too?
Dave.
I don't.
Hit that like button, subscribe, family.
And he did it for a specific reason. What about the blue and white stripes? These colors, that pattern, okay, it matches temples that were found all over Mesopotamia. Okay, specifically temples that were dedicated to Ishtar. Ishtar was the goddess of what? That's right. If you know, I can't really say it here, but what it represents, okay, it's the goddess of, also the goddess of war. This combination of what Epstein was doing and a war. That's what she represents. And in the Bible, she's known as Astaroth, one of the demonic entities that the Israelites were forbidden to worship. Okay, she's mentioned specifically. Ishtar, Ashtaroth, same thing. And the proportions of this temple, well, many architects have analyzed the building's dimensions, and according to these people, they don't match any known functional space. But what they do match is something else, sacred geometry. And these sacred geometry ratios were found and are found in Kabbalistic texts. Specifically, there are literal specific mathematical relationships that are believed to create, they call it like a resonance, okay, resonant with some spiritual force behind it, based on the dimensions of specific the buildings and, you know, angles by themselves. These things are known, and they have been known for thousands of years. But take all that stuff, don't listen to me, just take it with a grain of salt, whatever. But what you should do is listen to the witness testimony. The multiple women who escaped the islands described the same thing. They allegedly described underground chambers. I heard one story that there was 12 thrones arranged in a circle with symbols carved on each one that looked like no alphabet they'd ever seen. Whether that's true or not, I don't know. But I've heard it, and you probably have too. One of these women allegedly drew symbols from memory, and archaeologists identified them with Sumerian cuneiform, which was obviously the language that was written and used in ancient Babylon. I don't know if they're true or not, but this is what I've heard, and I don't know, have you heard this too? That underneath the island, there's tunnels, there's secret areas, there's chambers in the rock that basically terrible, unspeakable things happened in. Spiritual things. Most cultures worldwide, according to mainstream history, have histories of human sacrifices. I mean, look, you have Sumeria, Babylon, Egypt, Canaan, Greece, Rome, different names, same entities, Moloch, Baal, Asheroth, Dagon, and that's just the tip of the iceberg. This type of thing could be found all over the world, okay? Demons, fallen angels, they demand the same thing, innocent blood, because it helps them. It helps them come through onto our side. When the blood is spilled, these things get more power and can more easily inhabit the magician in a way that allows them to have basically a symbiotic relationship and work together at the same goal. That's the bottom line. The magician invites the spirit in so that they can work together, so that the spirit can augment the magician, kind of like how they want to augment humanity today with AI. It's the same thing. Now we're trying to augment ourselves with technology. Back then, and still today, actually, and behind the scenes, they're trying to augment themselves spiritually, okay? And Jeffrey Epstein, well, allegedly, he's doing the same exact thing that they were doing. These are the same sacrifices to the same ancient demons. And these demons demand blood. That's exactly what I think Epstein was doing. And I think that's why they're trying to keep it under wraps. Yeah, sure, they just released these, 20,000 emails, which are very interesting, by the way. And some of the things in there about Trump aren't looking good for him, but this isn't about that, okay? Because the mainstream media, they don't want to dig deep into this and reveal all of the secrets. They want to do surface level things. They want to expose surface level information. That way people aren't too outraged, okay? Because what if Epstein wasn't working alone? And we know he wasn't. What if he was working for intelligence agencies or governments? That's the rumor. I'm not saying he was or wasn't, but I'm saying there's some evidence to support him being an insider. But it seems kind of strange because his network, it was too vast, too organized. It was too protected, actually. Powerful men from every nation all around the world, every industry, political party, you name it, they're all connected. They're all connected through this one common thread. They all visited the island. Okay? I mean, it's insane how many people visited the island, and the records of that are still there. They participated in something. Why would they visit that? Was it like Bohemian Grove, but on steroids? Bohemian Grove is more of the playful aspect of it, and this is the real deal? Maybe. So they went to the island. All these people, all these bigwigs went to the island. They participated in something, and then they became compromised. Okay? They were able to be controlled. And who was controlling them? And who was using blackmail? Who was it? Was it Epstein himself? Or was there something behind Epstein that was pulling the strings of this whole thing? Was it Epstein the ringleader of this whole thing? Or was he just a puppet? Was he the face of it? But behind him, there's a whole nother layer, a darker layer, a deeper layer that people aren't even talking about. And Epstein's job was just providing this initiation. Okay, not into a secret society. No, something darker, something older, something more direct. And this is, in my opinion, communication, communion even, with these principalities and powers that the Bible warns us about, with these fallen angels, with the actual demons that still wander the earth today. And guys, honestly, here's why it matters more than people think. 2 Corinthians 4:4, it says, the God of this world blinds the minds of unbelievers. The God of this world. Who's that? It's not a metaphor. It's not poetic language. No. It's Satan, it's the devil, it's Lucifer, even though Lucifer isn't technically his name, but Satan. He's referred to as the prince of this world 3 times in the Gospel of John. And then you have Daniel 10:3. An angel tells Daniel that he was delayed because he was fighting the prince of the Persian kingdom, a demonic entity that was assigned to control the nation. This wasn't metaphorical, guys. This was literal. This angel was literally in a battle with, a demonic god, a fallen angel, however you want to call them. And we know demons and fallen angels are totally different things, but they work together. They're one and the same as far as their alignment goes. So yeah, a fallen angel could be called demonic, but it's not a demon. It's a lot more powerful than a demon. Demons are only in the spiritual and can only inhabit bodies to get their physical power. But when you look at fallen angels can appear physical. They don't need to inhabit bodies, but they can. And you might be saying, how can a fallen angel possess somebody? Well, if you look at what happened to Judas, okay, it says that Judas was possessed by Satan. Satan literally inhabited his body when he hung himself. So under that precedent, yes, fallen angels can also inhabit people, but they don't need to because they have physical bodies as well. How that works, I don't know. But that's what the Bible says. Some people might be saying, oh, that's ancient mythology. It's not modern. There's no modern relevance to this. We live in current year where, we have all this technology. We don't need to rely on the spiritual. But technology and the spiritual are the one and the same. Explain this if you don't think it's real. Why do global leaders meet at Bohemian Grove to perform these mock human sacrifices in front of a 40-foot owl statue? Okay, guys, this Bohemian Grove isn't conspiracy theory. It's fact. We all know about it. Everybody knows about it. And ask yourself this, okay? How come the mainstream media doesn't cover Bohemian Grove? None of them do. You can only find information about Bohemian Grove from third-party sources or people who storm into it, like AJ and some other people. And the mainstream media, even though they know it's fact, they know that it's a legitimate place, they don't cover it now or ever. And when it's confronted by, investigators and people trying to figure it out, they claim, oh, it's just tradition, guys. Don't worry about it. It's just harmless fun, because they know. They know it's real, so they have to deflect it. If it wasn't real, why would they do it in this exact same way? And look, I'm not saying Bohemian Grove, they're actually doing the sacrifice. No, I think, like I said before, I think that's a symbolic ritual that puts their intent into that spirit. But then when you take that intent and you bring it to Epstein Island, well, that's when it takes that whole thing to another level.
ISA. What's your name? Izza? Or ISA? ISA. Calm down. Calm down, buddy. Cause you in here talking about, I don't know, but some say we are the fallen angels to experience a body, maybe to appreciate what we had before we were born, but, and then you gonna say, no feedback, you may lose vulnerable subscribers. ISA, you sure, fam, who you talking to? Okay, so because I haven't responded to you, you said I may lose vulnerable subscribers? Huh? No, you got my attention now. You doing a lot of talking in here about this, that, and the other, but I'm trying to figure out all this Kabbalah shit you talking about. Then you sitting there asking about, I'm a woman, and it's what he said, yes, because new people come in and no feedback. No, don't make assumptions. No, it's no assumptions, love. What I'm looking at is that you made a comment, and whether you said that, you said I may use vulnerable subscribers with no feedback. The biggest thing is that when the feedback comes, it matters because first I have to listen. That's the biggest thing we can do. Oh no, I didn't say it's love. I just said we gotta listen, because the best thing that I do, I listen. And I listen a lot before I actually process. And then I give you what I believe in. You understand? So it's not a thing about losing vulnerable subscribers because no response. People here with Dealatofficial that knows what's going on with no filters, but you being a new sounds like that's real. I think you would understand that this is a great learnable moment, because for you, there's a lot of typing going on, but for you, you need to stop typing and just listen for a second. I'm not losing vulnerable subscribers. There's a time to listen and a time to talk. There's a time to be patient and absorb information so we can process and be ready to speak. You are speaking and making things, well, not assumptions, but you're just talking about what you know. Or you're typing it here in my house with my family here at No Filters. And everybody is allowing you to do that. So it's not a bad thing about just doing your thing. At some point, I'm gonna see everything. And in the same point, I see all things. The greatest thing for you is that in my house, this is a teachable moment. It's not a regular teachable moment. This is a in my house teachable moment. Oh yeah, window of opportunity is always. And the reason why the window of opportunity is always is because this is my house with my family. So when we discuss situations, the window of opportunity is wide open. So for you, you have a window of opportunity that you can talk all day and night at your will, because that's your window of opportunity. For me, I don't have a window of opportunity at all. This entire situation is opportunity for me. So it's not a thing about me losing anything or anybody. You feel me, family? It's a difference. So I want you to know that when you just said that this is a teachable moment and a reasonable opportunity and a window of opportunity for me, this is not a window. Nothing is a window. This entire house is opportunity for me. It's not a window in my house. It's a lot of windows in my house. But this house is my opportunity, not a window. Because you have a discussion or because you have an opportunity to speak, which you do have the floor, because you are speaking freely in my house. So it's not a difference for me to have a window of opportunity. It's not a difference for me to have a teachable moment. It's not even a thought for me to lose wantable subscribers. So my conversation right now is just letting you know that I've lost nothing. And that I wouldn't encourage you to tell people that if they don't respond, they will lose wantable subscribers. That's not good to say because you don't really know what's going on in the house. For you to be a new person, we invite you to come in as we do always. Hit that like button, double tap that screen, subscribe, notification bell, put it on all. That's the opportunity we thank God for because yet we are still here to do that, but never tell somebody. Never tell somebody they can lose wantable subscribers because they didn't respond. So it's not a thing about being defensive. You have to acknowledge what you said first. Because I've just acknowledged everything I've said, but you have to acknowledge what you said first so we can understand what we're doing. You understand? And I'm doing it in a very calm manner. So again, it's not about me getting defensive. It's about me letting you know in response to what you said. And what you said was I could lose wantable subscribers if not responding. So I just wanted you to know. And then you said, here's a teachable moment and a window of opportunity. And I said, this is my house. I don't need a window. I have a house of opportunity. And I also let you know that we don't want to tell people discouraging things like you could lose wantable subscribers from not responding. No, it's not about me at all. It's about you, Izza. And we know you're a female. I could address you as a male because of how you keep coming back and talking to me because I don't go back and forth with no woman or no man. But I'm giving you the opportunity right now to recognize what we're doing here so we can be on the same page. So it's neither of that because I don't go back and forth with nothing. Definitely not with my kids, let alone. So I'm just doing this opportunity for you because you said I could lose you. And you was the wantable subscriber that wants to subscribe, that's telling me that I could lose you. So what I'm doing for you is trying to save you. This is a great teachable moment for you, woman. You didn't think I knew that? Because any man in her named Izza is not a... Oh, I'm not... I know we talking... No, we talking about you. I'm not losing subscribers in general from not talking because my subscribers know we listen before we talk. We process. We don't read the headline, we read in between the lines so we know what's coming. So for you and all of that teaching that you was typing, somebody in here needed to probably hear what you was typing. Not me, but somebody in here. So that's why we appreciate you for your information and for your typing and everything you did. You feel me? But again, please, it's not good to threaten nobody about losing anything. See, this is the teachable moment for you about losing. Oh, no, that's fine. I respect you, Izza. And that's something that would have happened because those Kabbalah symbols came up when they did. and I definitely would have been able to explain it to you. But again, the only thing that caught my attention is that somebody said I could lose. I need you to understand this teachable moment, because us as people speaking, because I've not taught or I've not said things in a timely fashion of your fashion and time, you told me I could lose. See, this is why I'm addressing you. See, this is a teachable moment for everybody in my house right now, because when somebody tells you can lose, that's when you got to pay attention. This is a great moment, because even in a small moment of just you being in the chat talking, you told me I could lose something without doing something. And I want you to know, this is not a time to lose anybody. This is a time of learning. This is a time of teaching. This is a time of growing. This is a time of being together. This is not a time of losing anything because we didn't say nothing back in a quick enough response. So again, we appreciate you. And we just want you to know this is a great moment for people to understand. Even in the negative, we still learn. Even in the negative, we still learn, because we got to understand. Everything just don't happen at our time. But there is a time for us in victory. Trust me. There is a time for us in victory. There is a time for us where we will win. There is truly a time where we will sit back and watch. As we know, in the end, we still win. Even when people feel like it ain't what it is, it's already written that we still win. There's a time for everything. There's a time. But we need to still recognize, regardless of what the ignorance we see in front of us, regardless of the distractions, regardless of what comes up daily, there is always a time for everything. And I feel like in this time right now was a moment for fam, for a great moment to understand. Here at No Filters, we here to inform, understand, and be aware that if it walk like a duck, talk like a duck, damn it, it's a duck if it's quacking. Because we know how to understand. We don't read the headline, we read in between the line. We bring light to darkness, and we bring in vision to the blind. There's a time to listen and a time to speak. There's a time to put it down. And there's a time to know when to go hard. But there's a time for all of us to be patient. And because of that patience, that will manifest so much. Patience will manifest so much. And I don't think really people really see that. They really don't understand that patience will manifest so much. And see, what we go through builds endurance. Let me say that again. What we go through builds endurance. If you ain't been through nothing, you ain't built nothing to sustain anything. You ever met somebody that's so anxious that they don't even know how to wait? They can talk themselves into a deal and talk themselves out of a deal. You ever met somebody like that? Let me know. You ever talk somebody talk into it and talk out of it at the same time? See, I can explain people that ain't patient. I can explain somebody that tell you something. I can explain Izza. I can explain, but it's a burial. It's a blessing when we find out how you coming so we can get you together. That ain't bad what you've done. What it's done is say, hey, you just brought light to darkness. You just woke somebody up. Somebody out here ain't patient. Somebody out here don't understand the difference between training and experience. Let me say that again. People don't know the difference between experience and training. When you experience, you shut the fuck up. Because you've been through something. You learn how to sit back and take a moment and process and breathe. Why? Because my experience tells me I've seen this shit before. And I thank God, because the way I'm about to handle it now, you would have never seen it coming. Best thing you could have ever did is threaten me and let me know that I would lose in any circumstances. And I appreciate you because you've just awakened the realist in reminding me that if we become complacent, or if we become what we want to become, which is comfortable, after going through the struggle and understanding what we built, you can still lose. That's why I thank God for Izza. Y'all need to shout out to Izza right now. We need to thank God for Izza because she just reminded me that regardless of my house in control, you can still lose. Complacency will still put you in a place where you can lose. Even one. That's why even one matters. When we connect with one, matters. The fact that just one error to change what we keep hearing every day matters. See, it's a difference when you understand the presence of you and who you really are, understanding purpose. It's a difference. It's a real understanding that you could lose regardless of what you built. You could be complacent and still deteriorate from inside. You could think you comfortable and really your whole world is chaos. But I thank God I'm still here. And I thank God for understanding lessons learned even in the midst of the struggle. Let me say that again for somebody that need that. We got to thank God for lessons learned even in the struggle. Oh no, it's all love, family. It's all, you see what Tanya said? So you good, you see, we all fam, it's all good. See, I get you together, but you see how you see, that's why I tell you, see, when you know no filters, see, you don't know no filters. Let me bring you in, see, this Monday through Friday, 9 p.m., you're here with your boy, Dealatofficial, and my family, and this is No Filters. We bring light to darkness. We don't read the headline, we read in between the lines. So we know that if it walk like a, it talk like a, then it must be a right duck activity. Yeah. We here to inform, understand, and be aware. And it ain't just me bringing it to you, it's y'all bringing it to me. We here to inform, understand, and be aware. Tanya, tell her. Yeah. We big here. So we really appreciate you. And we appreciate Eugene just pulled up in the building. You see what I'm talking about? See how Eugene just pulled up? I ain't seen Gene in a minute. Gene pulled in and out. But you see how he said absolutely. Man ain't even showed his presence. But yet he heard. Man ain't even showed his, but he heard. Man probably ain't pulled up in a minute. And I know Eugene, he heard. Cortez and this, you don't understand, man. These are folk that been here. We might have got lost along the way, but folk, we always find our way back, and that's you. Boy, stop playing with us in here. we appreciate ISM because that's the reminder of complacency, comfortability, and even when you think it's okay, it still ain't. Every day we gotta be on our P's and Q's. Every day we gotta be on our tippy toes. Every day we gotta be prepared. Every day we gotta be ready. Cause Izza just caught me off guard. Woo, she just caught me off guard. But we thank the Lord because it was a blessing and it was a lesson. That's why I tell people, if you're prepared, you ain't gonna be scared. And if you're scared, then it means you ain't prepared. Crazy up in here. Hey, it's KJB. But real life, we appreciate you, Izza. That's real. Being prepared, understanding we can lose it all in a blink of an eye. Lose it all in 1 second. Even when we gained it all, we still got to know who we focused on. Because you got to understand, it's new people coming in your world every day. It's new people that need to know. And yet, if they don't know, they need direction. And I appreciate Izza letting me know, asking about the Kabbalah. And that's what that was. Because direction was needed. I may have taken a moment, may have had to think about it, may have still listening to the information, but yet it was a time that fam needed it, and that mattered. So I just want you to know, Izza, my apologies, because at the end of the day, I'm with you. We family, we in here together. Want to make sure that time is all and time is all and all is time, because that's all we got. I got folk in here I ain't talked to in a minute because of what they going through. And yet, when we can get someone's attention, time, and focus, we got to thank God for that. So again, I appreciate you for real. It ain't even like that. I just want you to know that that's a reminder to wake it up. That's a reminder to get it together. Stay ready. You feel me, Izza? Let me know you feel me. I appreciate you let me know to stay ready. Respectfully, I appreciate it, Izza. You hear me? That's real. I want you to know that. You hear me? And that's real. And nothing like that. It's all love, family. I truly appreciate you. Let her know we love her. Tanya, it's all good because you know we family here. Hit that like button, subscribe. I was trying to give y'all some information that you definitely did not know was coming. This man is discussing Jeffrey Epstein being in the occult, satanic, and his whole island. So now it makes you think. All of them same people. Think about this. The same people we keep hearing about, the Jay-Z's, the Beyoncé's, the Bill Clintons, the others, the Moores, them the same people we heard was doing demonic stuff. So it make you think, okay, these people are messed up before they even got to the island. Think about it. Them people are messed up before they even got to the island. So in my head, if I'm hearing the same names, I'm not shocked. I really don't need no list. But it's funny that we want the list for confirmation. You ever thought about the stuff you go through, but you need to see some paperwork just for confirmation? Just to say, yeah, it's true. But something in you already know it's true. So it make you think like, why we need confirmation? And we've been hearing about the Jay-Z's. We've been hearing about P. Diddy's, Tyler Perry's, Kanye West's, all these people. Why we gotta get a list to see their name on it? How much more confirmation do we need before somebody do something about the people we seeing being done? You understand me? So I want you to understand. Just like Trump and them and his whole campaign and everybody involved got to stick together. What you think we got to do? And you got to understand something too. If you are trained to be more than a conqueror through him that believe, what are you doing? If you have a voice to speak up and make change, are you talking? I'll wait. Let me ask you that again. If you have a voice, are you speaking? If you can make change, are you trying? If you can help, are you assisting? What the are you doing if you can be doing? I urge you to hit that like button. I urge you to subscribe. This is Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. This ain't like this every day. Shout out to Clarence Jefferson. Make sure you subscribe, family. Turn that notification bell on. Shout out to you. Good evening, family. That's a real thing. I urge you to hit that like button and subscribe. I urge you to go back and look at what we're doing here. I need you to know this No Filters, where we have no feelings involved in anything here. We're going to tell it like it is. We're going to read in between the lines. Something ain't right. And we're going to call it out as it is. But we also learning and we also teaching and we identifying. We informing, we understanding, and we being aware. Because at the end of the day, who gonna do it? If we was waiting on you to do it, then you would have had your own show, your own pod, and your own life telling the whole world. So we ain't waiting on you. And I don't want to hear your mouth, because if that was the case, you would have been did this. So if it take me to identify, if it take me to read in between the lines, if it take me to bring light to dark, if it take me to inform, understand, and be aware that if it walk like a duck, quack like a duck, it's a duck. And call it what it is. Trump is Trump, and we knew who Trump was. They hiding Epstein Files because everybody corrupt and bad is in there. Nobody want to show it, because when they show it, it's going to tell everything. And you think they going to do that for the president of the United States? Are you stupid? Yeah, hit that like button and subscribe, because you dumb. And you need to listen to somebody smart if you thought for a minute that they was finna... What? This the president of the United States. You think they finna let that man look bad blatantly? Boldly? Get your damn brain together. We in for the long haul. When that list come out, you still gonna have to dissect it, because you want to see who in it when you've heard all of the people. Oh, my bad. Majority of people is in it. No. Fam say he already looked bad. Oh, no, ma'am, I'm sorry. Hit that like button, subscribe, so we know who you is. He don't look bad. He just don't look good. When the Epstein Files come out, he gonna look more than bad. See, right now, he just don't look good. That's why ain't nothing really done. Ain't nothing really crazy. Everybody keep hearing the story about Trump, and everybody's still there with him. But when the Epstein Files come out, that's going to assure whoever thought what was ever. See, you got to understand, some people out here, like me, can read in between the lines and know what it is. But then you got other people out here like you that got to keep being told the same things until you see it in your face. And then even when you see it in your face, you still got to see this man's name on the list for you to take it serious. That's sad. But you can look at your brother and sister and know what they did and just say they bad from the jump. But you got to give Trump 1,000 chances. You got to give the whole White House 1,000 chances because they wearing suits. Point I'm making is change is going to come and it ain't going to come nicely. War is among us. And you wasn't even living back in the Trojan days, back in them days where there wasn't no guns, wasn't no bullets, wasn't none of that. It was swords and shields and people fighting for land and for what they believe in. And I'm going to tell you something right now, partner. We still living in them times. We just got on jewelry, a different type of jewelry, a different type of clothes, and we living in a different type of shelter. You understand? But I always want you to know that what was old can always be holding new. And what was going on then is still going on now. It just looked different because we got streets, stop signs, light, and electric running around everywhere, and plumbing. They didn't have none of that back then. Hell, they took a bath. It was just in fresh water, no soap. Same clothes. Woo! What we talking about? You really think that we in a different what? We are at war. And we are at spiritual warfare for right now. And in a minute, it's going to be physical. It was economic. It's been spiritual. But then it's economic. And then it's going to get back to physical in 2 seconds. So I'm telling you right now, hit that like button and subscribe because you might want to know what's going on tomorrow. Let me say that again for the dummies in the back still rolling up in the nighttime. Hit that like button and subscribe because you might want to know what's going on tomorrow. You doing prize picks. You doing everything but paying attention to what's going on in the world. I feel sorry for you. Because when it goes down, you're going to be the stupid one still looking to know what to do and where to go and where to run with your kids. You know how stupid you look with your kids and you don't know what to do? Oh, Lord. Oh, my God. You know how stupid you look having kids, but you don't even know what to do. You know how to go to the store and buy all the clothes, all the food, get your nails. You know every style in the world, but you don't know nothing to do when it goes down to protect you and your family. All these single mothers on here, think about that. You don't even know what to do when it comes to you and your kids in this world. But you know every store to go to. You know where to find the next shirt, the next Jordan. You know everything for style and play. But you don't know shit for you and your kids when it goes down. You don't know how to shoot a gun. Your kids don't even know how to run for cover because they focused on the next game that's coming out. The next Roblox, the next laptop, the next tablet. Oh, let's keep going. Oh, you can tell them what to do, Homestead. I'm just letting them know how stupid they is by not thinking that you thought that it was okay. They bringing out AI robots, dummy. And y'all just think it's so happy, so fun, so cool, so okay. Your damn kids don't even know how to survive right now. Hell, your kids don't even want to make nothing to eat for themselves. Let me say that again. Your kids don't even probably want to make nothing to eat for themselves. Your kids so janky, they probably surviving off food that they can never make in the woods. Survival. Where we at? What we doing? Thomas McCracken said, this ain't Terminator, buddy, and he laughing. And when the day goes down, I'ma screenshot that, what you said, Thomas, and send it right back at you. And in that moment, you gonna find out it ain't funny, partner. It's funny now. Let's get our laughs out. But I'm gonna send that same text right back at you and say, this ain't Terminator, buddy. When you got AI walking all through the damn streets, shooting and doing what they want, locking people up because you ain't doing what the robots told you to do when they was programmed to tell you to do it. Then I want to see you say, this ain't Terminator, buddy. Stupid ass Thomas. Stupid, don't even know my past, live my future. Boy, you dumb. But I appreciate you talking about Cushion House. You don't even know what this is. But your dumb ass, I appreciate you. So you need to understand, struggle is real. But when you fight to get to the top, it's a difference when you've been through something. That's the only difference, being through something. So you can understand. Don't be left out here stupid. Don't be stupid, left on stupid. Open your ears, listen, and open up your brain. Because your stupid ass will be left somewhere and ain't nobody rocking with you, fam. James Jones from Flint, Michigan, rocking with Dealatofficial. Shout out to you, fam, and I appreciate you. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe. This is a real thing, Monday through Friday. Miss Israel says, better wake up. So we just want to understand that we learned something tonight from Izza, letting us know that we never need to never be comfortable or complacent, to stay consistent in what we're doing because we're growing to reach out to one another. And there's a day when somebody might pull up in this house and don't know nothing. And yet we all could be in here smoking, drinking, eating, thinking, chilling, laying down, literally listening to me while you're laying up with your gal or whatever your life is, chilling with your kid, doing all that as we watch chaos every day. I agree, Thomas. He said, if you can agree that every name in these files needs the most severe punishment, I'll subscribe. Respectfully, that's a natural feeling that I believe everyone should be punished and never turn back. That's a real thing, family. But I feel that it's a real thing. Larry Lyles say, I appreciate you spreading awareness. That's a real thing. I appreciate you, brother. Hit that like button, subscribe. I want you to be here tomorrow at 9 p.m. That's a real thing. It matters that at the end of the day, there's a certain equity and power that you haven't even tapped into. And there's a certain entity in the world that you don't know about. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's going to be your beliefs against theirs, and it's going to be their beliefs against yours. And you're going to need to know the truth so you can stand on lies. You're going to need to know the truth so you can stand on deception. You're going to need to know so you can stand on people that don't know. And as much we talking about Epstein Files, this is a distraction for something that's to come that's bigger than you ever known in your life. Let me say that again. These Epstein Files is a distraction for something to come that's going to shock you. And I'm telling you right now, you heard it right here. First. That's why I be wanting y'all to subscribe for real. I don't care about all that Subscribe, like button. Like buttons get this out. And if you look at my likes ain't going crazy. Because people are paying attention to what I'm saying more than hitting the like button. Because they literally forget that the like button is right there to like it. That's how much they're tuned in to what's being said. And that's just a real thing. I can't even do nothing about that. I got to tell people every 30 seconds. I need to make a timer for every 5 minutes telling people to hit the like button. Shout out to Unending Hope with the goal of the representation sent a gift. I appreciate your family, #1. That's a real thing. So that's why I say it's hard to be in that same position. It's hard to understand that. I got a lot on my mind. I have a lot to process. I have a lot to think about daily, as we all do in our own way. But I think for me, it's a difference in how we do it and still be sane and still be connected as a father. As a human being, as a man, as an individual. I am not a Gemini. So it's a real thing, family, when I talk about needing each other to learn, to inform, understand, and be aware. Because there's certain things I don't know about that you know, and there's certain stuff I know that you don't. And there's certain stuff that you just don't accept. Like you know it, but you don't accept it. Let's be real. There's certain stuff you just know, but you don't accept it. Chico the Great, I ain't ignoring you, fam. What'd you say, partner? It's certain stuff that we know, but we just don't accept. So that makes things harder. The moment we start accepting, the moment life gets real. The moment you start accepting, the moment life gets real. The moment you start accepting, the moment you can live. Let me say that again for the people in the back. The moment you start to accept, the moment you can live. And that's real. Think about what you're going through in your life. Think about that one thing. Think about that thing that you ain't accepting, but you know it's right there. Think about it for a second. You know what it is. You know what it is, ninja. Don't do that. No, you know what it is. We don't know, but you know what it is. Think about that thing you ain't accepting. Got to do with your personal life, your kids, relationship, mama, family, church. Just think about that thing you just not accepting, but you know what it is. But you just not accepting it. You can love somebody and hate how they is, but you're not accepting the realness in you. You can think it's a shame that you love them. But that's being real, because that's just the real in you. Once you accept that, you can live. Accept that so you can live. You know how much stuff you just not accepting? So you having a problem living. You having a problem because you debating every day with the same stuff you waking up with every day. Why you don't accept it? Because of ego, pride, hurt your feelings? So you ain't gonna accept reality? Let me tell you something about accepting what you're in. Shout out to Free Thinking. Says, thank you. Let me tell you something. We got to accept what we in so we can live. Because the more you keep going around that thing and not accepting it, you fighting it every day, having a struggle with it every day, keeping you from living. And think about it. Every day in this simulation, we ain't doing nothing but the same shit every day. We ain't doing nothing but the same thing every day. You got it. It's called routine, motherfucker. It's called routine. So if you got a routine every day and you ain't accepting something, you having a hard time. And I'm going to tell you right now, partner, get off of it. Accept it. Because if you ain't changed it by now, you might well accept it. And I'm gonna be real. If it's really real, oh, you might well accept it. Cause it's right there and it's been there and you ain't done nothing about that right there. It's right there. You ain't done nothing about that right there. We have a hard time accepting things, knowing things. Like we know stuff, but we don't accept it. It's like, yeah, I'm with you on it, but no. We be like, I knew it, but no. You ever been like, I knew it, but no. I knew that much, but no. That's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm talking about. You know it, but you don't accept it. I'm going to leave you with that. I'm going to leave that right there. I'm going to just leave that right there. You know it, but you don't accept it. Accept it. And adjust whatever need to be adjusted. See, I had that for you, friend. I had that for you, partner. I had that for you, homie. You thought I was just telling you to accept some bullshit? No, I wasn't doing that because y'all my fam. I was telling you, accept it so we can do something about it. You ain't know that was coming, did you? You just thought I was telling you to accept it and just keep accepting. No, because we're not going to accept bull. But we're going to accept what's real. And because that bull is real, we accept it because we still there. So we're going to adjust it to our liking to where we can survive and stay. Why? Because we accept it. And because we accept it, we have to adjust it so we can stay in that acceptance. You understand what I'm saying? Let me know if you understand what I'm saying. Let me know if you understand what I'm saying. Press 1 if you understand what I'm saying. Tell me now. Let me know if you understand what I'm saying. Press 1 now if you understand what I'm saying. I need to know. You ain't got to explain. I need to know if you feel what I'm saying. You understand? I need to know if we accept what I'm saying because it's what I'm saying right now. We got to accept so we can adjust it. You understand? We got to accept so we can adjust. I ain't say accept so you can fall down. I said we got to accept so we can adjust. We got to accept so we can adjust the situation because a lot of stuff we be not accepting, but we know it's right there. Let's accept it, see what it is, accept, and then we're going to adjust it so we can. Because a lot of y'all just fighting stuff that you just fighting. But to be honest, if you accept it, you can actually get a greater turnout than you thought. So if this wasn't for you, it was for somebody in here in our family. It's for somebody in here in our family. Accept it so we can adjust it and live our life. Because a lot of things we still have yet to accept, but yet we're living in it. That's real, Clarence. Hakeem been in the files. And I'm finna give you that video back right now because I'm gonna give you a piece of Hakeem being in them files. And Hakeem so scared, he over there explaining himself about being in the files. Like, what you gonna explain? What you gonna say? What you gonna do? What you gonna say? You in the files. You done. See, at this point, it's what's that? Guilty by association. Oh my God! You know how many people's in the files that's guilty by association? Shout out to Demi Hill, says good game you did. Let me tell you something about stuff I've been through. See, when people be like, you give me the game, you know how a game is. The pieces in the game, the stuff you go through in the game, and you try to win. But it's the fact that you went through that game and you learned. Not necessarily that I won the game or that I lost. It's the fact that I learned. See, people always talk about the game. They never talk about what they learned. They always act like they lost or they won the game. But are we talking about what we learned from the game and what we went through so we can do it a different way? You feel me, Demi? That's real life. Let's get right back. So what? As Clarence said, so what happened is good. This what happened, Clarence. Okay, Legion said, how about accepting treatment for mental health instead of letting it go? Fam says, how about accepting treatment for mental health instead of letting it go? Respectfully, that's real. Because I think with mental treatment, with mental health, it's a big deal because people don't really know the treatment for mental health. That's the problem. You understand, Legion? Legion says, okay, never mind, unsubbed and blocked. Is you for real, fam? I'm gonna take a drink for Legion. Did you hear that, fam? Fam asked me some of the most important stuff. And just like Izza, it was two comments after that, and that man said, okay, never mind, unsubbed and blocked. And that was a great situation because he said something about mental health and all of that. Okay, Neil, let's do it. You hear me, Eugene? Hey, you know he is, though. You know.
Sports betting is here, Missouri. Unlock a huge $365 in bonus bets on December 1st when you bet just $10. Win or lose. Kick off your sports betting journey the right way at Bet365 and grab $365 in bonus bets while you can.
Ty, you know what it is.
On a bipartisan basis on the floor today. That's the end of the story.
Yeah, I was just asking if you personally believe messaging with Jeffrey Epstein, who is at that point a registered sex offender, is appropriate for a member of the House Democratic Caucus.
I'm
good, Big Daddy,
home. And I'm going to give you the same exact answer.
Hakeem boldly states, I'm going to give you the same answer. You
Hey,
didn't
hey,
give an
one-on-one,
answer. That's why she had to ask you the same thing 3 times. You gave a response, but you did not give an answer. If I ask you what's 2 + 2 and you respond with, well, there was that one time that my friends and I rode bikes around the neighborhood when I was 8 years old, and we went across town and came back, and my mom was upset because it was too late and I wasn't in touch with her. Those were the good old days. And I say, okay, but what's 2 + 2? And you get angry and say, I've already answered the question. I don't have to accept your blatant avoidance to the question as a legitimate answer. The Democrats' hypocrisy is on full display because just a month ago, they disavowed President Trump as irredeemable for having a relationship with Epstein a decade before he was ever convicted of anything, but are perfectly willing to vociferously defend any Democrat who had a relationship with Epstein a decade after he was convicted. But here's where the host confronts Walmart Obama about his own personal ties to Jeffrey Epstein.
Well, let me ask you about you, because the White House has been highlighting an email that I'm sure you've seen today that Jeffrey Epstein got in 2013. They say it shows you were soliciting money and dinner from an Epstein. The email was not sent from you. It was sent from a political consulting firm called Dynamic SRG that says, we are thrilled to announce we are working with Congressman Hakeem Jefferies. Shoot us an email or give us a call if you would like to get involved. What's your response?
Hold up, Pat. What's wrong, Pat? M101 Pat. Why your name M101 Pat? He like, why are we not hanging out with the fam or working? What the F are we doing? We are on YouTube, bro. Like, what are we doing? Cortez like, bro, I gotta be on a unit at 6:45. The life of a RN. I'll be right here tomorrow. I appreciate it, Cartel, because you know it's love. As always, fam, my real G pushing up and pushing out. You know what it is. Your boy Dilla T. And fam, Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. It don't get no better than this. Make sure you tune in. Stay focused. Hit that like button, subscribe, double tap that screen. There's only one way to do it. Right here with your boy Dilla T. As always, fam, I appreciate you, man, taking time out to inform, understand, and be aware. To bring light to darkness, to read the headline, but understand that we really reading in between the lines so we can know what's really going on in the world. As always, fam, is love, is connection, and is respect. I appreciate you all, each and every one of y'all taking time out to rock with your boy tonight, man. It's a real thing. And as always, understand that at the end of the day, you got to get you something to eat. You got to get you something to drink. And you gotta get you something to smoke if that's what you do. Because you see the title, fam. Monday through Friday, 9 p.m. with your boy Dilla T. And this is No Filters. Good night, family. Be safe. God bless.